Yes, because he didn't have the cocaine and all that. But yeah, but he felt really bad.
Okay, so back up to where this whole thing became aware that there was a problem.
What?
Go back as far as you want with this whole scenario where all this trouble began with the Florissant police.
Are you recording this?
Yeah. Just take your time to the best of your recollection. You know, I mean, you were having a normal day up until what point?
Anyfifth grandmother actually owned another Seabiscuit, but sold the horse before he had success on the track.
Sleeping on the couch?
Yeah, I was laying on the couch watching TV, which I never ever do because I don't have cable and I don't have that many channels and I'm not that into TV. I don't watch TV because it's not interesting to me. I didn't have anything else to do. I'm laying on the couch. I went to the store. I went to the store and I got a roast. I made a list. I said roast, onion, potatoes, carrots. I had in the drawer in the fridge. I came home. I made the roast, cut up the potatoes and carrots and everything, put it all in there, put it in the crock pot, laid there and laid down on the couch to watch the TV. After I got all that done, cleaned it all up. Plugged the crock pot in, put a can of broth in there, beef broth that I bought at Schnucks a few months back, and left just the roast in there, and the cut up potatoes and carrots I kept separate for a minute. And
You laid back down on the couch then?
I laid down on the couch. I remember eating a hard-boiled egg. It was the last thing that I ate. And I seen that it was 8 o'clock, and I thought about going over to my neighbor's Gretchen's, but it looked kind of dark over there, so they weren't outside in front. So I said, no, I don't want to bother them or whatever. And I noticed it was 8 o'clock because I said, well, you know, I could go over there and get something to eat or whatever because I've been kind of eating steady all day. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that because it's already 8 o'clock, and I don't want to eat after 8 o'clock. Then it turns out I'm laying on the couch. It's about 8, probably 8:30. I'm dozing off on the couch. I guess I fell asleep watching some retarded program. It was one of those CSI something or another movies. I don't know, show, whatever that is. And I fell asleep about 8:30, and I woke up hearing somebody knocking on my window, and I have windows by my couch, and I kind of opened my eyes up and looked to see somebody standing out there knocking on my window, and I thought, okay, well, maybe that's Alan. Yay, Alan's here. And then, because they waved at me, they knocked, knock, knock, knock. Then they knocked again, and they're knocking on my window.
You didn't recognize them?
I couldn't even hardly make them out. They were all dark. It was just a silhouette. Knock, knock, knock. Knock, knock, knock on my window. And I'm like, why is somebody knocking on my window? And so I lift my head up off the arm of the couch, and I'm thinking, why aren't they just coming to the door? And I see them wave, you know, like a nice little, you know, happy wave. And I'm thinking, oh, it's Alan. And I'm like, yay. And then I'm waiting for them to come in the house because I'm thinking they're going to come right in the house. You know, I'm sitting there and I sat up on the couch thinking, well, okay, come to the door. And then somebody started knocking at the door. And they knocked at the door. And then I got up off the couch because I had sat up, and I'm kind of looking out the window trying to figure out what is happening. Who is this person? I thought it was Alan. Why aren't they coming to the door? And I sat up, and then somebody's knock, knock, knock at the door. Knock, knock, knock. So I just woke up off the couch. I go get up off the couch. I go to the door. I open my big door, and the glass storm door. and I see a man standing there, and then I see another man standing there, because I guess that guy walked over from the window where he had been knocking. The other one went to the door and started knocking finally. 2 men standing on my porch. I'm like, okay, it looked like they might have been police officers. I don't know. I stepped out on the porch.
They identify themselves?
No, they did not identify themselves.
They show you any identification?
No
Do
identification.
they have any badges hanging?
I didn't see any badges, to be honest. I did not see a badge at all.
Okay.
At all. I did not see nothing.
And they never said who they were? They didn't say this is
No.
Porch and police? They
I stepped out on the porch, and the first thing that they said to me is, "Are you William Gilbert's mother?" And I said, "Yes." And then they said, "We found a large amount of marijuana on floor Val." And I didn't say anything.
What did it have to do with you?
I had to say, I was thinking in my mind, okay, where's floor Val? Where's floor Val? What are they talking about? And I was tired, I guess, trying to figure out where floor Val. You know, if they would have said, "We found a large amount of marijuana at Madison's house," I'd have been like, okay, what does that have to do with me? But I didn't say that because I was just trying to deduce where's Floorval. I don't really think about what street he lives on. Rissant and Floorval, right at the place where the sign sits and names 2 different streets, and his house sits right there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
they
thinking,
didn't say William at all. They didn't say it about.
They said, "Are you William Gilbert's mom?" And I said, "Yes." And they said, "We just found a large amount of marijuana."
But they didn't say that it was his marijuana.
Floorval. No.
They just said they found some.
Floorval. And I was like, okay, thinking, where's Floorval? Because, you know, and they said, "He's coming up here now." And I didn't quite catch that, but I remember them saying it, which I would have thought, okay, my son's coming up here. I don't know. Then they asked me, the third thing they asked me, first they asked me, "Are you William Gilbert's mom?" And then they said the thing about Floorval and the large amount of marijuana that they found there.
This is all outside your house.
Yeah, I'm standing on the porch. The door is right against me. They're standing, 2 of them, right in front of me at 11 and 1 o'clock, and I'm standing there. I really can't go anywhere. I mean, I just woke up off the couch, so I answered their question. I said, "Yes, I didn't say yes in a whole complete sentence. I just answered yes to their question. I'm William Gilbert's mom, whatever." And they said that about marijuana. And then they said to me, "What's your name?" And I said, "Kelly Runo."
But they never told you their name.
Right. They never. I still to this day do not know their names. I think William knows their names. But they said, "What's your name?" I said, "Kelly Runo." And they said, "Are you the owner of the house?" And I said, "Yes." And they said, "Is there anybody else in the house?" And I said, "No." They were like, "So you're alone here?" And I'm like, "Yes." So then they got done asking all those questions, whatever questions. They asked 4 or 5 questions.
What was the last question they asked you?
"Is there anyone else in the house?"
Okay. And then what happened?
And then I said, "No." And then they said, "So you're alone here?" And I said, "Yes." And then they said, "Well, you know, we've been having some problems out at St. Ferdinand Park with some pot that's being sold and kids getting caught with pot that they're buying at the park." And then they told some other gossip about other neighbors across on some other street, some other houses that they're looking at. They talked about just like a lot of gossip and stuff. And then they were like, "Okay, now, and also we've had some complaints about this house and cars coming and going."
Your house?
Yeah. And I was like, no, there's not a lot of cars coming and going. My son has friends, and his friends come here, and that's it. You know,
Right.
I mean, they have friends. His friends have friends. I have friends. My stepson has friends. Probably didn't go into a whole big long thing like that. But I was like, and when they would say things like, "Well, you know, we're kind of concerned about what's going on here or something. I don't know what they said along those lines. And I said, well, I don't know anything about it. I said, my kid has friends that he's known since kindergarten, since they were 3 years old together, since 5th grade. He has his friends he's known for a decade or more. And then the cop said to me, he said, what's these kids' names? And I said, Madison. I said, well, one of them is Madison. He's known Madison for a long time, since they were 3 years old. And he cut me off as soon as I said, well, one of them is Madison, because I was going to name, the few small circle of friends that William's known since grade school or younger. And as soon as I said Madison, they were like, oh, well, he's the big problem, blah, 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 we just found a bunch of marijuana down there, and blah, blah, blah. They didn't really go into a whole bunch of gossip about that. And then I'm standing there, and I'm like,
what did they want from you at that point?
I don't know. They came up to my door, they knocked on
I know
my
all
door.
that, but I mean, at that point, once you told them,
they said, 4 or 5 questions. I answered their questions, and they started telling me all these stories about what's going on in the neighborhood, what's going on down in Floravale, what's going on in the park, what's going on at my house.
Like you had all the information?
Like I had all the information. Like I knew these kids were coming and going, and all this stuff was happening. My son is in bed most nights by 10:30, and I told him, I said, my son is in bed most nights at 10:30. He goes to school, he works. That's it. On Friday night, I probably didn't even say that to him, but I do know on Friday night, once in a blue moon, he'll have kids over till about 12:30. I got to go to bed. I got to get my rest. My kid is in his room playing his video game, sleep until noon, same typical stuff. Go to work, come home, go to school, come home, play your video game. I'm just thinking about all this right now. But basically, it was pretty cut and dry. And when they got done telling me all the stories about the neighborhood and everything, they didn't have anything else to say. I mean, I think one of the last things they asked me was, well, what are the names of these kids? That was the last question they actually asked me. But they were gossiping about all the different people in the neighborhood, saying things about the park and Floraville or whatever. And then I said, well, one of them's Madison, that he's known,
Name the kids that what?
Name, because I said, my son has friends over that he knows and has known for a very long time.
Okay, so I was going to ask you what kids are coming over to your house. They want you to name the kids that come to your house.
Okay, so what kids are these? And I started to say, Madison, and he cut me off. Oh, Madison, well, he's like the biggest problem of all, blah, blah, blah. And I was like,
so that's what they were after then. They're thinking maybe he's got pot stashed at your house or something, so they're going to try and search your house because they didn't find everything they wanted at his house or something, I guess, huh? Okay, so then what happened?
That did not occur to me at all.
Well, no, you don't know what they're thinking.
That did not occur to me. This transpired in about... This all transpired in like less than 10 minutes.
Yeah. So you're on the porch for 10 minutes talking to them. You're ready to go inside. You're ready to get back to finish your roast.
Okay, I got stuff on the stove, crock pot, stuff cut up, ready to go in the crock pot. My show was on. Not like my show, but the show I had been watching.
Program you're watching.
Yeah, and I'm tired, so I am standing there. The last question they asked me was Madison. Cut me off because I was going to start naming kids, They cut me off right at Madison, and then that was it. Conversation died.
Okay.
They didn't say anything more to me. I didn't say anything more to them. So for some reason, I thought, well, I'm going to go in the house and finish my stuff. And I turned around, I opened the glass door, and went in and went to close the door. And before I could start closing the big door, they opened the glass storm door and came in. So I pushed the door closed, and he was pushing in on the door, and then the other guy got on the door and pushing the door.
They were forcing their way into your house.
They were forcing their way in. I was trying to force the door closed, and they, it's like arm wrestling. You kind of go back and forth.
Did they have a warrant?
No. They did not have no warrant. They forced it. The next thing I knew, they were in the door, and I was trying to hold the door. I let go of my left arm because they were coming in, 2 men, and I did not know who they even really were. And they were on me like that, like pushing in on the door and on me, and I reached my arm up like that to block them. And just like that, against their arm, was coming in with their arm and their shoulder, and I reached up to block them, and he's like, "That's assault." And that's when they drug me out on the porch and said, "That's assault," is what they said. They said that right away.
So you were defending yourself. You put your arm up to defend yourself?
I blocked, to block.
Mm-hmm. They called that assault?
You could say defending myself, because I have two grown men trying to push their way in my door. I'm home alone. They know I'm home alone. They asked me, "Is there anyone else in the house?"
And they had no legal right to be in your house. They had no warrant. They didn't show you any paperwork showing that they could come into your house.
I didn't even know why. They were just talking to me, wanting to get gossip or question me, or just talking. They started telling, when they ran out of questions, initially they started telling me stories, like gossiping about what's going on in the neighborhood. I don't know what's going on in the neighborhood. I don't want to know what's going on in the neighborhood. I take care of my business at my house and what I got to do, and that's it. I don't go around getting in everybody else's business like other people
do. So they told you that's assault. What happened at the...
Yeah, as soon as I went to block him with my arm, he said, "That's assault." And they drugged me out on the porch, and they said...
they drug you? How do you mean they drug you? What did they grab you by?
My arms.
They grabbed you by the arms and drug you outside.
They grabbed me by the arms. I mean, we're right there. Like, we're like within 2 feet of the threshold.
You're in your house, and now they're physically grabbing you out of the house.
I'm in my house.
Right.
Because I'm closing the big door on them. And I was winning.
Right.
They forced, the other cop came, the two of them are on the door, then they're on me, because the door came open more, then they're on me, and I reached up to block my hand. I had to let go of the door with my left hand to reach up and block them. Are there bruises here?
I can't see any right now.
Because they've told me this is a nice little bruise. Not too much. This is where they grabbed me.
Okay.
This is the arm they grabbed. And
I see those bruises. Those bruises are real visible.
Real bad. They grabbed me, they yanked me out on the porch, and they said, "Put your hands behind your back." And I put my right hand behind my back as quick as could be. They slammed me up against that little, you know how your porch can have like a little wall right there? You know?
Uh-huh.
They slammed me up against the wall with my hand behind my back. And I thought, okay, they're going to put the cuffs on, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll put my other hand behind my back.
Right.
And that's how you get cuffed, right?
Right.
I don't know. And so he said...
You never been handcuffed before?
No.
Never been arrested before?
No. He said, "Put your hands behind your back." I put my hand behind my back. They slammed me up against the wall right there real hard, and I had my hand behind my back, and then the other cop tased me. He straight point blank tased me right there. I fell down on the ground.
You weren't resisting arrest or anything?
No. I didn't feel like I was really under arrest. I mean, he said what he said, and then he said, "Put your hands behind your back."
And you complied?
And I did. I put my right hand behind my back.
And he tased you anyway?
And the other cop tased me anyway.
Did he say anything when he did it?
No, because it was like a 1-2. I don't even think it was like a 1-2 thing. I mean, the guy had me. He said, "Put your hands behind your back." I put my hand behind my back. He slammed me up against the wall, and the next thing I know the other cop tased me. Like, he just got his little thing out and went like that really quick because he...
And where did he tase you at? Where did you get hit at?
I think I got the string thing came out, and then it got on my back.
And what happened? What do you remember happening then?
I put my hand behind my back, and he pushed me up against the wall, and then I got tased, and then I was on the ground.
In a lot of pain?
I was laying on the ground with my hands still behind my back, laying on the concrete.
Both hands or just one?
Just the one. Laying there. And they steady tased me.
What do you mean steady tased you?
20 seconds at least. They tased me for 20 seconds at least.
Wow.
And they kept telling me, "Turn over, turn over." I couldn't turn over. I could understand what they were saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember
You're
my
being
hand
shot.
was behind my back. Yeah, and I was being tased. So I'm laying on my back with my arm is like way up behind my back. And
they're telling you to turn over while you're still being tased?
Turn over, yeah.
While you're being tased?
I couldn't turn over. I could understand what they were saying, but I couldn't turn over. They stopped tasing me. I rolled over. They put the other hand behind my back and cuffed my hands. And I was screaming because I needed a witness. I was scared. I was in between the car and the garage in a little cove where nobody could see anything.
Uh-huh.
And My garage is on one angle, the wall with the windows are on another angle, and the car was right here, and there was no way to see anything. And I started screaming for my neighbor, Gretchen, Gretchen, Gretchen. I screamed bloody murder, her name over and over and over again. She finally came out of the house. I'm on the ground with the handcuffs on, laying on my belly, just like they said, and I'm screaming her name, and I'm screaming, I'm in pain, I'm flipping out, I don't even know what is happening to me. And then Gretchen comes out of the house, and as soon as she got up to the tie wall, the cop said, "Stay back, I'm going to arrest you for trespassing." And I just started screaming then. Then I was just screaming because she was there. I was no point in calling her.
Did they cuss at her?
They did say something like that, but that was, I think, a little bit later is what she said. That
okay.
I was on the ground with my handcuffs with the handcuffs in my arms behind my back, and I was laying on the ground in a lot of pain and confusion, and I just started screaming. Because I didn't know what else to do. And they tased me again. And I screamed out and I said, "They're tasing me. They're tasing me while I'm handcuffed. They're tasing me while I'm handcuffed."
Were they saying anything?
They did say something. They were saying it to me, but they said it really loud so that she could hear. And I said, they're tasing me while I'm handcuffed. Help me. And I'm screaming. And they said, they answered back. They said, "It's because you're kicking." I was not kicking. I was being tased. I was not kicking.
So you feel they were deliberately lying in front of Gretchen to justify what they were doing? They lied because they knew she couldn't see. Right.
They lied. I was not kicking.
Right.
I remember thinking, I don't know if I said it, but I remember thinking, I'm not kicking. I'm not even kicking. I don't even have shoes or socks on. I'm not kicking. I'm on my belly, on the ground, handcuffed behind my back. I've just been tased twice. And then they straight tased me again.
How many times did they tase you? Twice?
They tased me at least 4 times.
4 times?
Okay, they tased me when I first had my hand behind my back and I fell right to the ground, Then I was on my back with my hand behind my back, and they steady tased me for like 20 seconds, maybe longer, I don't know. And I couldn't turn over. When they stopped tasing me, I turned over and they handcuffed me. Grabbed the other hand and put it behind my back and cuffed them. And then I was just laying there, and I already said all this. They tased me again.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think they tased you? After you were handcuffed?
Well, I don't know why they tased me at all. Okay? There was absolutely no reason for them to tase me. Okay? If they're going to sit there and play their little game or whatever, and pull me out on the porch and then tell me, well, put your hand behind your back. And I put my hand behind my back. There's no reason to tase me. They smashed me up against the wall with my hand behind my back.
Did they ever tell you you were under arrest?
No.
Never told you you were under arrest? They just handcuffed you? They never said you were under arrest? Did they ever read you your rights?
No.
They never showed you a warrant?
No.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, I'm laying on the ground. Gretchen started creeping up. She stood up. The tie wall's real low right there. She started creeping up, and before you knew it, she was right like in front of the Mercury, and she could see the situation. She could see me laying on my belly. She could see the handcuffs. She could see they're tasing me. They looked up, and they saw her there, and that's when they said, "Get the fuck back," or something, whatever. I don't know what they said, but sure is what they said.
We'll get her story,
And then they said to me, I don't know if they said shut up or what they said, but she could tell you what they said too. They said something like, "I'll tase you again. I'll tase you again. It's not hurting me, it's hurting you." Or they might have said, "It's not hurting, it's hurting you, not hurting me."
Yeah, either way.
Which way.
Yeah, they had no problem with it. Why were they wanting to tase you again?
I don't know, but by that time, By that time, William had come out from around the front yard and around the corner, and he saw me laying on the ground in handcuffs, being tased. And he said he saw the officer, he could describe the guy and everything. He said he was in a stance with one foot in front of the other, like a foot apart, a foot and a half apart, and he had his butt kind of sticking out, like he's in this little half a squat stance, and he's straight tasing me. And like, I'm in my stance, and I'm tasing you. I mean, literally, when they tased me, when they tased me for 20 seconds, they were at least 2 feet away from me.
Mm-hmm.
When I rolled over and they handcuffed me and tased me again, they weren't near me. They weren't even close enough to kick. But I was not kicking. But that's kind of like a knee jerk. Like, I thought about it later and I thought, well, I mean, if you're going to do something bad, you better have a quick story. So as soon as I said, they're tasing me while I'm handcuffed, help me, then Gretchen was standing at the front of the Buick because she started creeping up. And their answer back was, that's because you're kicking.
Right, that was a
I was
false
not
story.
kicking.
Right, that was just to cover themselves.
So then William came around the corner and he started to run towards me because he said he saw the taser strings on my front, on my gut. He tells the story on my gut.
Might have been both.
Well, I just checked this morning. What do you think? Are these marks?
Could be.
2 marks?
Could be.
And so he was going to run up and pull the little strings
The
out.
barbs.
Okay, I didn't know what they were called.
Yeah, because 911 didn't get a call. My neighbor's a 911 operator, and they never called. Usually the police call 911 to have a paramedic come to move the barbs. And my neighbor confirmed that there was never a 911 call from Florissant Police to the police that night or whatever. Nothing involving Florissant Police 911. So.
Well, that's the other thing I thought about too, because when I called for like all that other stuff with the public works department and stuff, my occupancy permit and stuff, then they said, was this a police call out? I was like, no. It's like if you have like a domestic something or something, I don't really know, but like if the neighbors call the police out because somebody's drunk or nobody called the police out. So it wasn't a police call out.
This was an
But
investigation that they were doing.
Some of my paperwork, it seemed like it said police call out. I think it might have been what I got from the Public Works Department or whatever. That said police call out or something. And now they're trying to say I got to do all these extra inspections, not 1 inspection, but 2 inspections because of this and that and the other. And it was never a police call out that I understand.
Okay, so let's get back to them transporting you to the police station now.
So William came running up, and then they picked me up. They picked me up, handcuffed behind my back, and seeing William standing there, and the cop goes up to the door, this glass storm door, and opens the door up. Because as soon as I stood up and they had me up and I seen William standing there, and he was totally distraught, I just screamed to him, William, don't go in the house. Then the cop opened the storm door up and said, why don't we come inside and talk about it? So
who's he saying that to?
William.
Why did you not want William to go in the house?
I didn't want William to go in the house because I didn't want anybody in my house. You know why I didn't want anybody in my house? Because I don't want somebody telling me, oh, your house is dirty, or you didn't clean under your dishwasher, or you didn't pull your stove out last month and clean under there.
Well, they had no right to be in your house.
Your paint isn't the right color, or your carpet's a little tore up here, or,
Okay, I understand.
Oh,
they had no right to be in your house. You're not inviting them in. You never invited them in the house.
Yeah, because
they're
going to sit there and harass you by sitting doing exactly what they did.
Okay. Now, so even if you told them you didn't want them in the house, and if they handcuffed you and William's there, while you're handcuffed, they're still trying to get inside your house without a warrant.
Still trying to get inside my house.
Without a warrant, even if you said no.
Right. After I said no, and I screamed out, William, don't go in the house.
And you are the homeowner.
I'm the homeowner. The cop opened this big, glass full storm door, opened it up, and said, why don't we go inside and talk?
You don't know this officer's name right now, do you? They never told you their names?
No.
Okay. But this is Florissant Police.
I don't know
As
that.
far as you know, you
I
were
don't
arrested
know
by
that.
Florissant Police.
I guess now. I guess. I mean,
Okay.
yes, I went to the Florissant.
They never
police station.
identified themselves. Okay, that's interesting.
I didn't know who they were.
Okay.
I didn't know if they were like the SWAT team or somebody said something about DEA
Okay.
or something.
All right,
I mean,
so then what happened?
anybody. The FBI. It could be the FBI.
So they're trying to get in your house again, trying to get William to go inside the
Yeah,
house.
so they open the door up and they tell him, why don't we go inside and talk? And then that's when I seen him kind of look in and look, you know, because he figured people were already in there, you know.
Who looked in? William?
William looked in, and then by that time they were walking me to the patrol car and I couldn't see behind
And you don't know
me.
what happened to William after that?
I don't really know what happened to William after that. I could see him sitting in the house.
He did go in the house.
They forced him in.
They forced
He
him in
has
the
to
house.
tell-
You told him not to go in the house, and he was forced into the house by the police.
I can tell his story, what he told me.
Okay.
Okay, but he can tell his story
Yeah, we'll
too.
let him tell it, but you can tell it since
Okay,
you're here right now.
so I saw the officer open the door up and be like, let's go in and talk about this. Meanwhile, he runs up and sees all this happening. He's thinking there's a cop in the house, whatever. He goes in and leans in to look, and he sees there's nobody in the house. Nobody. And he's like, okay, and he walked in, and he went to close the door, the big door, went to close the big door, and they forced their way in the big door again.
William, trying to get in. So he's
Now he looked in and seen there were no cops, and he walked in and he said no. He started to close the door. He said no. We don't need. You're not coming in. That's what he said. Okay, and he went to close the door, and they pushed the door again, and then he went up to push the cop back with his hand. Didn't ever touch him. Cop slapped his hand away, and then put his forearm on William's throat and pushed him back with his forearm. And William put his hands up like this and said, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. And he strained his neck really good like that and used his neck to push the guy's forearm back, to hold him back as long as he could.
Mm-hmm.
And he was getting asphyxiated and couldn't breathe, so he had to step back and they came in. And you can get the story from William.
okay. That's fine, and it seems like maybe they were trying to bait William, get him in the house because he's a suspect. And once he's in the house, then they think they got a reason to come in and search. That's why I guess they wanted to get him in the house because they've already found this pot down at Madison supposedly. Now, if William's in the house here, now the guy that they were accusing of having pot is in the house. So now they're trying to build the case so they can.
No, it was never. William doesn't have any pot.
Right, but I'll tell you what they're thinking. That's why they were trying to get William. Why don't you get in the house? What could they ask William inside the house? They couldn't ask him outside the house.
Let me give you a little backstory, okay? About an hour earlier, all these dressed in black with the little black bulletproof vests came to Brenda's door, okay?
All right.
They knocked on Brenda's door. They knocked on her door. She sits on the couch. She's elderly, heavy, and disabled. She said, hey, there's somebody at the door, because there's a bunch of kids sitting at the kitchen table, you know, in the kitchen. And she hollers out, there's somebody at the door. Well, they don't get up to come to the door. She gets up off the couch, goes to the door, opens the door up, looks outside, sees it's some man with his little vest thing on, and they had actually already opened up her storm door and
Right.
were standing right there. So when she opened the big door, they were standing right there. And William had came around the corner to look, because he...
Inside or outside the house?
There you go again. William was inside the house, sitting in the back, living room in front, small hallway, kitchen in back. William and a bunch of kids, Madison, Daniel, were sitting at the kitchen table. Well, she hollers out, somebody's at the door. You know, none of them teenage boys is going to get up off their butt.
So they sat there and she got up at
But
the door.
guess who got up off his butt? Guess who helps her and tills her yard up and
William.
mows her yard? All good-hearted, loving, blah, blah. It don't pay to be good
Oh, come on.
anymore. So
Okay.
anyway, William comes out. She had already opened the door up. Cop was standing right there. I don't know. I say cop, but I don't know. That was
Okay.
whoever
Again,
that
not
was.
identifying himself.
No,
Probably.
they
Okay.
didn't. Oh, no, actually, I beg your pardon. She said they said Florissant Police.
Okay.
William
What they
turned
want?
around, went back in the kitchen,
Who went
and
back?
they
Oh, wait,
started pushing her into the door. Charles was sitting in the front room.
Okay.
They started pushing her into the door. She stood broadside in the door, and she said, well, I'll come outside. well, we need to talk to your son Madison about this hit and run. They came about the hit and run. Her son's college car that she just bought for him to go to college in a few months. One of the boys, JJ, took the car, took his keys, and took the car. He was drinking. He was drinking. Took the car.
Okay.
And he crashed the car. Okay.
Took off.
And took off. He crashed it into a fence behind the donut shop. So the fence is kind of crashed, and the car is ruined. Needs work. So she said, I can talk to you outside. We can step outside and I'll talk to you. Well, we need to talk to your son Madison. And I said, well, she said, I can have my son come out. It's my car. I'm the owner of the car, you know. And that was all good and fine. So then
they stayed outside.
They were right there at the door. They stayed there right there at the door. And then she said, I have car insurance. You know, I don't know what point this was all said, but about the time that the cop was trying to push his way in the door, Brenda said she pushed the cop back, and then the cop pushed her, and then Madison came out of the kitchen, and they had already handcuffed her. They handcuffed her in the living room.
They handcuffed who?
Brenda. They said, I don't know what they said. I wasn't right there, but Charles was sitting there, and then Charles said something about, you know, I can't believe you're going to hit an old lady like that. You're going to push an old lady like that.
Why was she handcuffed?
Because I don't know. They said that because I don't know why they handcuffed her. They threatened her. I think it was they threatened her, and they said something like, you know, well, we're going to arrest you. And she's like, okay.
What was she being arrested for? What were they in the house for? Just to talk to Madison about a hit and run that she had insurance for?
Something about, yeah, because she's like, I got insurance on that. Oh, no. We want to get the rightful person to be rightfully responsible, JJ.
So they're going after JJ. They're using that as a guise. That's a cover story.
As a cover story to get in the house. Because later she told me, which wasn't apparent to me at the time, because I'm totally distraught and traumatized. She said, I knew when I was standing there looking at them. They weren't even in their regular uniforms. They were not coming to talk about a hit and run that happened like a month ago.
It was a cover story.
Okay. And so she said, then Charles was sitting right there on the chair by the kid could see, and he said, I can't believe you pushed an old lady who's disabled. And he said, no, I didn't. And he said, I saw you do it. And then the guy said, well, if you want to get all... He said, yeah, I pushed her, but if you want to get all ignorant about it, then I'll just arrest her on assault charges. And she said, go ahead. So they handcuffed her, you know.
They pushed her, though, huh?
They pushed her, and then they pushed through because in the meantime, two of the people in black came in through the sliding back door. They actually went around the house and came in through the door.
No warrant.
The whole time, she's telling them, no, I'll step outside. She actually stepped outside with them.
Right.
Okay? But they came right in the back.
Illegally entered the property anyway.
They came right in the back, illegally. And then Madison came out of the kitchen, and he seen his mom handcuffed. And he's like, I'm Madison, who needs to talk to me? And he started to freak out because he saw his mom getting handcuffed. And so they went out, they separated them, and they went outside, and the one cop took the freaking handcuffs off of Brenda, and she went outside, and she sat down. Her face was red, she has high blood pressure, whatever. And he was telling her, you know, whatever, and they separated the two of them, and they were talking to Madison, and basically they searched the whole house, they ransacked it, whatever, how they do, whatever.
So there's how many of them inside the house searching?
I don't know.
But they're in there searching the house.
Any idea. They searched the house, they found a small amount of weed and some pipe or something, nothing much. And then what they did was they told Madison, can you tell us where this JJ guy is staying?
Why are they after JJ?
Because supposedly he did that hit and run.
Yeah, but that's just a cover story.
They put the handcuffs on Madison and put him in the car, and then they said, if you don't tell us where this kid is staying or whatever, it's how they do. You're going to be in jail 5 to 7 days.
They're going to lock him up for 7 days. Okay.
Who knows? I don't know what was said. I wasn't there.
Okay.
So he directs them over to where JJ's staying. And tells him that's where he's staying. So when he gets to the police station and was had ticket for supposed accused of selling marijuana, then he just got released. So because he told where this JJ kid was or whatever, and he got released and was back home by the time some time transpired. I mean, Brenda was there by herself or whatever. Her son was.
He didn't
gone.
hit post bond or nothing.
Nothing. They didn't book him in. They didn't put him in a holding cell.
He never got charged?
He never got charged, I don't think, because I don't know how it goes, like with being charged.
They're applying for warrants for him still. They're probably doing the same thing for you. You were charged, and they're probably applying for warrants or whatever and all that. But okay,
I don't know how all that works at all. So Brenda ran up to get some gas in her car and get some cigarettes, and then she came back home, and when she came back home, her son was just getting back right then. So they were gone for like I don't know how long, or like it was like about an hour later.
Yeah.
But you know how they came to the front door and they pushed their way in, but then the two people came in the back door and all that, and everything went all went down. They made everybody sit on the couch, while they searched the whole house and everything, and then then they went away. They took medicine and they went away. And they were gone for about an hour or whatever time, And then they came back. And then they came back and they knocked on the door and they told Brenda, we need to speak with William Gilbert about this hit and run. We need to speak with William Gilbert.
Again, they used the hit and run story.
Yeah. And they said,
after they searched your house, they're still acting like they're investigating the hit and run.
We need to speak to William Gilbert now. Or I don't know if they said now, whatever, but I just know that I was told, we need to speak to William Gilbert. And she said, well, then they might have said, is William Gilbert here? And she said, well, I don't know if he's here. And I call down there sometimes. And, well, he was here. I don't know if he's still here. And I'm like, okay. So she went back there to check. And they had said, when she said, well, I don't know if he's here. And they said, well, we know he's here because his truck's outside. That black truck that my stepson just got fixed a week ago, that's been on and off in my driveway when he spends the night a couple nights. They assumed that was William's truck.
Okay, I got a question here real quick. When they came back that second time there, what made her think she had to answer the door?
I don't know.
People don't think. You don't have to answer the door. You don't have to deal with them. They'd already violated her rights the first time they were there. What made her think that the second time they came, they were going to be respectful and respect her rights? See? People brainwashing to believing they have to talk to them and answer it.
Yeah.
You don't have to, do you?
They're an authority, and I had teachers in school.
But you respect the people that show you respect. Do you show respect to people that don't show you respect?
If they're in authority over me, I would.
That's a big mistake, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, respect is earned. Just because somebody's in a position of authority, they still have to earn your respect. If they're not treating you with respect, then they're not.
Well, if they're not right or real, or
if there's somebody that's evil that's like tasing you while you're handcuffed because they're just getting pleasure out of your suffering. You can't respect people like that. And then
I just tried to answer their questions.
Let's get to the one transferring you to the police station.
Remain calm. I could not been calm.
What point did they put you in the car?
Tired.
Let's get your transportation to the
police.
No,
because this is the backstory. So then Brenda went back there to see if William was there, and she said to him, hey, they want to talk to you about this hit and run or whatever. And he just said, do I have to go out there? And she's like, no, it's up to you. And then, of course, Daniel was like, well, you should probably just go out there and talk to him. Just get it over with, just put it to bed. So he stepped out the house to talk to him. And then the cop was like, well, why don't you just get in my patrol car, no handcuffs or anything, and we'll ride up to your house. Because they already knew the other people were already at my house, at my door, knocking.
Right.
We need to talk to you about this hit and run. So it dawned on me, how stuff will come out later when you're laying in the tub and you're licking your wounds and stuff. It occurs to me, and I'm calling William that next day, every time something comes to me. And I called him and I said, honey, when you rode from Madison's house to my house, did they talk to you about the hit and run? The whole fake reason they were cover story was trying to get in the house. They brought William out. They tricked him into getting in. You know, I don't know how much of a trick it is.
Well, they told him we want to talk about the hit and run.
We want to talk about the hit and run.
And
William said, I shouldn't have even come out. And then if I did come out, I should have just said we could talk about it right here in the front yard. But they were like, hey, you know, like that. Remember that, like something where somebody would be like, I think it was Pinocchio or something. It was like, look how fun.
Very manipulative. They manipulated him.
You know, or something. And so just very nice. And you know, this is another thing he told me too when I was over there yesterday, and he said the first thing that happened when I said, okay, I'm going to get up and go talk to him, I'm just going to get this over with or whatever, I don't have anything to hide, you know, or anything, he opened the door up and Alan was standing right there, his stepdad, the only father he's ever known. Alan was right there. And he came out, and Alan and the officer and William were kind of walking in the yard, coming out down the stair, you know, the porch or whatever. And he felt, you know, comfortable when he saw his dad there.
I went off on Alan about that. Go ahead, read Alan.
Okay.
I'll tell you all about that later.
I can see what that, now I understand where you might have been headed.
Oh yeah, he should have stood up there and told his son, absolutely not. You ain't smart enough. You get an attorney, you ain't tough. But that's okay.
Right. You don't know if you don't know. If you're ignorant, you're ignorant. If you don't know, you don't know.
He had no idea he was walking into a trap.
So here my son gets in the back of the patrol car. Well, not patrol car. It's a black freaking Dodge Charger. And I only know that because I rented one when I had my car rented.
All right, that's irrelevant, but go ahead.
And not a big car person, but and then of course I was in it later. So, but they roll up to the house with William in the car. And I'm screaming, okay? I'm screaming. This is probably at the time when they're tasing me while I'm on my back with my arm behind my back and they're telling me to turn over.
Right.
And so they roll up. The cop gets out of the car. I keep saying cop, but it's the person in authority.
Detective.
Whoever he is. Okay, detective.
Unidentified law enforcement.
I would have to have proof they were law enforcement. I don't even know to this day who they are or what the legitimate thing is, honestly.
They didn't feel you were entitled to that.
So, I know because I'm a lowlife or something.
Well, we'll get into all that. You can cover everything.
That's not even right. I'm a good person.
Yeah, that's right. You're a citizen.
No, but I'm like a really good person. Like, I don't do anything. My neighbor even told me.
Okay, so you're in the police car now. They're public service.
No. The cop rolls up, the detective rolls up, and I'm screaming, and he gets out of the car and just leaves William in the back of the car. Those car doors are locked! So he's locked in the car. William unlocks the door manually, gets out of the car, because you know how they hide their car back a bit. That's why I can't believe she said the police, she saw the patrol cars.
Right.
But on the corner, you don't got no really to hide.
Right.
Well, they could have been.
So he wasn't handcuffed, so William just got out.
He got out of the car. No, because he wasn't in trouble. He was just supposed to be, you know, going up to the house so we could talk about this hit and run.
Discuss the accident.
He gets out, comes across the yard because he hears me screaming. Comes across the yard, down the driveway. He sees me on the ground, handcuffed, on my stomach, with my hands behind my back, and he sees the person standing there tasing me. With his stance, with his feet apart, and his butt sticking out, and straight tasing me.
Okay.
And I think the other guy might have had his little shooter's taser on me too. And I'm being tased. And then you kind of know that was the end of the backstory.
Okay.
That's how William got up to the house.
All right, so now we know how those two stories overlap. Now let's get to the part of them transporting you to the police station.
I sat in the car for a long time.
While they're searching the house?
No, they kind of, well, actually, if you take it from the timeline, where they lifted me up off the ground, and I seen William standing there in his little A shirt. He calls them an A shirt, also known as a wife beater. Those little A shirt T-shirts that you buy, tank top looking thing. He's standing there, and I holler out to him, and they're walking me, you know, and I see the cop open the door and say, let's just go in here and talk. And then I see William look in, and then I'm past him.
Said the spider to the fly.
Yeah, come into my parlor.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I'm past him, and I got my hands behind my back, and I'm being handcuffed, and they got my arm or whatever, and I'm like, I'm tripping on these strings.
The barb.
From the taser thing or whatever. And so somebody did something about that. I think somebody might have done something to get them off of me or whatever.
Right.
And then they put me in the car, and I'm sitting there in the car. And then I can look out the car and see William sitting on the couch, because I didn't see how they pushed the you know, that I didn't.
Okay.
And I'm in the car a long time, and the officer, whoever, detective, came and talked to me like once or twice, came and got something out of the car. I don't know what he was doing. I just know he was gone, and then he was there, and then he was gone. And then some other detective guy that was in street clothes opened the door up, that I was sitting in the driver passenger back, you know, and he opened the door up, and I just looked at him and I said, Sergeant Peters. To me, he kind of was stocky, not as tall as Sergeant Peters, probably not as big as Sergeant Peters, but he had a little bit of that mustache, and I can remember that from like three years or so ago. And that was the sergeant that I went in and
complained to when Williams.
Complained to.
Yeah, we'll cover that story later. Williams
and
was tased
so
while handcuffed.
Sergeant Peters was really nice and really decent, you know, and playing the good cop, whatever, I don't know. And I just felt good like that. He took pictures of Williams' marks. He took a ruler and took pictures.
That's 3 years ago, though.
Right.
Let's get back to you being transported to the police department.
So the guy opened the door up, and I just looked at him and I said, because I don't recognize people, really, I don't. And I just thought, because the whole time I'm thinking, oh my God, I've been tased. I've been tased. I've been tased. This is what it was like with William. I was tased with handcuffs on. I'm
Mine's going a million miles an hour.
Yeah. And
Can't believe it's happening to you.
Up. Can't believe it. Can't believe it.
Same thing happened to your son. How ironic.
So he opens the door up, and I just looked at him, and I'm thinking, because when they were putting me in the car, I was screaming. I was like, Timmy, fucking tased my son while he was in handcuffs. He was 14 years old, blah, blah, blah. Cooperating, standing at the cop. The whole thing. And I was like, and they're like, well, we don't know anything about that, blah, 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 blah. So the next time the car door opened, now this time when I hollered all that out, the car door didn't open. They were putting me in the car. Before they closed the door, I had said all that. And I sat there and I'm thinking, oh my God. You know, so I'm thinking about all what happened to William and everything and what happened to me. And the next time the door opened, I'm looking thinking, it's Sergeant Peters. And he knows my story. And he knows and he remembers.
So you felt a little relief, a little hope
Just
there.
a little bit. And I said, Sergeant Peters? And he said, no. He says, I hope I don't look like him. And I said, oh, okay.
So he put down his other officer.
Yeah.
Kind of made a criticize on him.
Well, he's taller and just probably a little bigger in the belly area. But to me, I thought it was Sergeant Peters. And then he talked to me for a minute, and then he closed the door down. And then I looked up and I could see William sitting on the couch. Maybe like 10 minutes had transpired between the time that the officer opened the door and said, let's go inside and talk. And I seen William lean in, and then he leaned in and he stepped back, and I was like, okay. I walked past, I don't know. I just saw the door open by the officer and say, let's go inside and talk. And then William started to go in, and then I didn't see anything else. And what he did was go in and say, hey, we're coming in here, close the door.
Okay.
All that. So then I'm sitting in the car about 10 minutes, and I'm looking around, and I see the kitchen. I only had one kitchen light on and the TV. And I see William sitting on the couch through the windows that this dark person knocked on my window while I'm sleeping on the couch and waved. And I see William sitting on the couch, and I'm thinking, okay. And when the officer came back, a couple of times when I said he came back for some reason, I asked him, I said, what is happening? What is happening with my son? You know, is my son okay? Oh, we're just talking to him. And I'm thinking, okay. Okay.
You trusted them. Don't know what they're up to, but you're trying to trust them.
That was it, you know. I mean, what can you do? Yeah, they're just talking to him. Okay, just talk to him. You know, whatever is happening, you know.
You had no control. You're handcuffed in the backseat of the police car.
Well, I didn't, so I just. Yeah, I was a mess.
So you're just waiting.
I was calm. I mean, I was calm, but my mind was just going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Because all I'm thinking of is they pushed me up against that wall while I had my hand behind my back, and then they tased me, and that's all I'm thinking about. That's all I'm thinking about, what they did to me.
You're in shock.
I was in shock, and my mind was going, and I'm thinking I'm worried about my son. I'm thinking every couple of minutes I'd be like, okay, what about my son? What's happening? And then officer person, Detective Reese, came and got in the car, and he got in the car, and he said, "We got to take you to the hospital." Blah blah blah. He rolled out my driveway. He got on his radio and said, "Hey, this is so and so car number. This is the odometer reading. I'm taking somebody to Christian Hospital." When we got to the hospital, he called in, confirmed the odometer, how many miles or tenths of a mile you went. So he didn't take me somewhere and do something very bad while I was handcuffed. I guess I don't know.
Okay.
That's stupid, but that's good. They should have
Okay.
stuff.
Okay, come on.
So we're riding to the Christian Hospital, and he's just talking casually and stuff to me. And he said, "So are you okay? Are you okay?" And I was like, "I don't know." I said, "I just got tased 3-4 times, and one of the times I got tased was like for 20 seconds. I don't know if I'm okay." And he said, "Well, if you want things to go smooth," I said, "We're just going to take you to Christian Hospital. You just tell them you're okay, you sign some paperwork, and we'll take you to the station. You'll be home in no time," or whatever. Just like that. And I'm thinking, well, what if I'm not okay? What if I'm like older? I don't look that old, but I'm old, and what if I am not okay? I don't know about tasing. I don't know anything about it.
So he's telling as long as you're
What
okay.
if I'm
and
not
everything.
okay? I told him. I said, "What if I need an EKG?" And he's like, "Oh, well, if you feel like you need that, then you need medical attention. You need to tell them that that's what you need. Then blah blah blah." And I was like, but he's like, "That's just going to drag it out. That's just going to make it take a lot longer." And I'm thinking it's going to take longer because you're going to have to get medical attention, and then you're going to go to the station or something. I'm not.
So you can take longer because you'll be at the hospital longer. Is what he was thinking. That's what he meant.
That's what I thought he meant. And then he clarified by saying, "Well, if you waive all your rights and tell them you're okay when we get to the hospital, and then if you don't do that, if you don't tell them you're okay at the hospital and tell them that you're fine, then we're going to hold you for 5 to 7 days.
Keep you in jail for 7 days,
That's
which is
it.
illegal.
5 to 7.
They can't hold you
He
more
said
than 24
5.
hours.
He said 5 to 7. He did not say 7 days.
So
He said 5 to 7.
Threaten you to sign releases at the hospital, claiming you're okay, even though you said you might not be, or they're going to hold you for 7 days, 5 to 7 days
5
in
to
jail.
7 days.
So they threaten you. That's essentially a threat, isn't it? I mean, if they tell you can't stay in jail, we're going to keep you in jail for 7 days unless you sign this form saying you're okay. Did you feel like it was a threat? It's what it is, whether you know it or not.
Said if it takes,
Oh, I know. I'm going to get you on tape too.
Good stuff.
If it takes this, okay, if it takes, I mean, I don't know. I felt coerced, I guess. I don't know. I felt like I can't stay in jail for 5 to 7 days.
They can't hold you that long.
Now, to be honest
There's no way they can hold you that
I
long
didn't know
legally.
what jail was like.
Did you believe that was true, that they could do that?
Yeah, but it's my birthday and Sherea's.
It's okay, man. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It'll be okay. We ain't gonna let them do this to you. We ain't gonna let them do this. I know. Right. And they made you believe that you'd be in jail and not be at your own birthday party if you didn't sign the release and lie that you were okay. They wanted you to lie and say you were okay even if you weren't. Just so you
I didn't know if I was okay. Do I know about being tased? Am I a medical person? I'm not.
But they gave you incentive to try and go ahead and lie and say you were okay. It's okay. They tricked you. It's okay. It's okay, sweetie.
I thought about it on Saturday.
It's okay.
Because he kind of acted like, well, that's it. That's your decision then. And I couldn't take it back. So I was thinking, oh, how can I make him take? Okay. I'll take that first thing you said. I'll take the first thing you said. Well, we'll just go to the hospital, and they'll look at you, and you'll say I'm fine, and they'll say okay, and you'll sign something, and then I'll go to the station, and then I get to go home.
Okay.
I'll take that first one.
Yeah, they used coercion. But they had to lie to you to do that. That's it's unethical.
So we got to the hospital. We pulled in the parking lot. He did on his radio thing to do the odometer reading. And he said, look, it's not that big of a deal. He kept saying, look, I've been tased before, it's not, you're fine. He kept telling me if there was anything that was going to happen, it would happen right then when you're being tased. And, there's nothing residual, whatever. I don't know. And so I'm like, okay, that sounded okay. And then he said, it's not like you're bleeding or anything, you're fine. You're just going to go in there, you're just tell him you're fine. I've been tased. It's not that big of a deal, blah, blah, blah. And so he did his little radio thing, and we pulled up where, I guess police cars can pull up or something, because we went in this other secret door where he had to press a button to get in, and some other man was coming in with his little child, and it was the wrong door, and he was like, oh, well, then we went in with our little code, and but when he came out of the car and came around to open the door for me, he came around to the side of the car, opened the door, and I went to step out, and I'm barefooted, and my hands are behind my back, I'm handcuffed, and I stepped my foot out, and my whole leg and my whole foot, the top of my foot, the front of my ankle is bleeding. And he just said that, it's no big deal,
Minimizing
not like
it.
you're bleeding. No, he said it's not like you're bleeding.
And you were bleeding.
I was like, okay. And then as soon as he came to the back to open the door up, and I stepped my little bare foot out, and I looked down, and I just kind of looked up at him, and I was like, now what? I am bleeding. Now should I just go the other way?
Mm-hmm.
Then when I put my other little foot out, and half my toe is gone, and there's blood everywhere. I just got out.
How did he respond when he saw you're bleeding? What was his reaction? After telling you you're not bleeding or anything and minimizing it, and then he sees that you are bleeding, how did he react?
He didn't say nothing.
He didn't say anything? Didn't show you any sympathy? No concern? Oh, I'm sorry. I was wrong?
I got out of the police car with my hands behind my back and handcuffs, both feet on the ground, blood coming from the one leg and foot, blood coming from the other foot. And I'm standing there, and I'm kind of leaning over a little bit, because I had on these little, yoga pants that were Natalie's, but they were way too big for her. That's why I got them, which they were too big for me. And I know there's sometimes stuff does get stretched out more after you wear it, but they were totally t-shirt material. So they were just too big for me. But I like to wear them because they're not tight on my stomach, and I have, I just was lounging around at home, and I didn't even have any underwear on. And usually if I'm going somewhere trying to feel comfortable in my comfy lounge pants, like when I went to get the roast, I had underwear on, so my pants kind of stay up because they're against the underpants a little bit, and I didn't have any underwear on. I was laying on the couch sleeping, all this happened, and I get out of the car, and I'm leaning over a little bit, and I said to him, can you pull my pants up? Of course, I wasn't crying. I was like, can you pull my pants up? And I thought, as soon as I said it, I was like, of course I can't pull my pants up in the front, not cameras or something, I don't know. I was just like, okay, that's not happening. He's like, well, can you just hold them up from the back? So my hands were behind my back, so I just held my hands up from the back. And I just kind of leaned forward a little bit because my shirt hung down a little bit, but my pants were falling down. And I just leaned over so my shirt covered it, I guess. And we walked in, did the little code thing, the man and the girl. We went in. And then one of the nurses looked up from the station and said, room 13. And I looked up to make sure it was room 13. We were going in. And we went in room 13. And there was a chair and then in the bed. And I was looking at the chair. And he's like, sit up there. I sat up there where he told me to sit. He took the handcuffs off me at some point. And then the nurse came in and she said, are you okay or whatever, and of course all the blood and stuff. And
you're bleeding all over and they're asking if you're okay.
Right, and then she had me sign the papers, and then because they said, do you want to get medical attention or whatever?
You obviously needed medical attention if you're bleeding. If you're bleeding, you usually need medical attention.
I'm going to jail for 5 to 7
Okay, but you'd already been told that you're going to stay in jail for 7 days if you get medical attention.
I can't.
And you believed that lie. That was a lie, though. That was a lie. That was a lie. Okay, it's okay. They lied to you.
Oh, now that I spent the night in jail, thank you very much. I could not have spent more than the time that I spent.
But they couldn't hold you for more than 24 hours.
Another 14 hours.
They could only hold you for 24 hours. When he told you they were going to hold you for 5 to 7 days, that's illegal. That's not true.
Do they really make you sit in there day after day?
Not for more than 24 hours. No, that was all a lie. They lied to you.
You don't even get up to walk around.
I've been there. They turn the TV up so loud you can't sleep. They keep the TV up full blast. They make it so you can't sleep. Right. They don't give you any escape. They torment you. They give you day-old donuts. They give you.
And every time you would hear, like maybe there's like cell, and then the hallway, and then the TV on the wall,
right.
And then there might be like a door right there. And every time you would hear that door open, they'd shake those keys real loud.
Yeah, they do that.
There was a couple of times throughout the night, or whatever, maybe in the morning, where the next person that came on didn't do that, didn't shake those keys,
right.
And I just kept thinking, okay, somebody's gonna come in here and tell me I can get out of here, but.
And they allowed you a phone call. Who did you call? What happened when
she
you got
was so fast with all the paperwork, and now I'm afraid about this too. The girl was really good looking lady. And she was just very fast and efficient, and move.
Blonde-haired lady, short blonde hair?
Yeah, but not the taller one that works in the morning. She wasn't.
I know the one works nice. She's a real nice lady. She's sweet.
Yeah, and
she got a soul.
Yeah, and then this younger guy was, and they were kind of, you could tell they were like not really flirting, but kind of going back and forth. She's like, I'm getting off in a little bit. And he was like, oh, we're gonna make you sing. Just really cute. And he kept singing.
Okay.
He kept like humming and whistling or something. And it was I was in the holding cell at that time, and I just, a brief moment of some happiness. He was whistling. Oh yeah, he had a good happy attitude, and you could see him going back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they're not in trouble. You are. It's easy for them to be happy.
Well, yeah, and he kind of made some comments and stuff. Whoa, you're never gonna get out of here, whatever. Because $1,500 bond or whatever. He says, and just he was razzing some of the other guys that were coming in. Put your stuff, your hat, your necklace, put all your stuff in the thing. He's like, whoa, where'd you get that? Those sunglasses. He's
having fun.
He's enjoying
his job.
Yeah,
Even though other people are suffering, he's enjoying his job.
I guess.
Okay, that says a lot about a person.
Well, you're gonna have.
If you get your enjoyment out of seeing other people suffer, there's something wrong with you.
Well, they're already there, so.
You don't have to enjoy it. You can have compassion.
But you don't have to like.
To enjoy it shows a lack of compassion.
It seemed to me like they were talking normal to the guy and stuff.
Yeah.
So the lady was like, here, you need to sign here, 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 and here, like 4 places. And I signed like the 3 places, and then I was looking for where the 4th place was. I couldn't find it because I didn't have my glasses on. Which is another complication. I'm dead tired on the couch, come out on the porch, don't got my glasses on. Shit, maybe that's why I turned around and went back in the house. Stove, got stuff on the stove, got stuff cooking.
You got a life.
Don't got my glasses. The conversation stopped. They stopped asking me questions. They started gossiping about everything else going on in the neighborhood. That stopped.
I understand.
The conversation died.
Right, we're at the police station now. You got a phone call. You get to call somebody.
And she said something like that or whatever. Write down if you're going to call somebody. She says, you can waive your call. She just kept saying that. You can waive it if you want. Because I just kept staring at her. I'm deer in the headlights. I was just like,
you're still in shock.
Oh, totally. I totally was in shock.
So did you know who you were going to call when she's saying that to you? Is he registered you? You don't even know who to call. You and your husband aren't. It's okay, honey. It's okay. Be strong.
He didn't answer the phone. It was already after 10 o'clock.
Who wouldn't answer the phone? You called Alan first?
No. I only got 1 phone call. So now I'm trying to think.
You didn't want to call Dad.
Well, it's not that I didn't want to call him. It's just that I started thinking, who can I call?
Well, you have a husband. That should be who you call. You're.
He wouldn't have answered the phone. He don't got no money. What's he gonna do? So I'm thinking, Papa don't got no money. I'm thinking, what am I gonna do now?
What makes you think Papa didn't have any money?
$1,500? they kept saying you can waive your phone call because she's like, come on, we got to move this along. We got to move this along. Come on. And I'm thinking, oh, look, we got to call. Well, I got to call somebody. I'm not going to not call somebody. So I called Papa, and you have to write the number down who you're calling and who it is. And I called him, and he said, okay, and I waited in the holding cell, and the one lady was decent. She was getting ready to get off, and I asked her a little too late, because she would have let me out. I talked to her a few minutes earlier, and I had said, it was about 20 minutes earlier, and I had said, excuse me, I said two things. I said, in about an hour, I'm probably going to have to go to the bathroom because I drank a whole lot of water at the drinking fountain. I mean, people in the class where they might have had class or rookies or somebody, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of officers in a class at the station. Big glass window. And they walked me over to the drinking fountain, and they let me drink some water when I first got there. And I drank and drank and drank, and I mean, I drink a lot of water. And it's you should put it on YouTube. I mean, I was steady drinking and swallowing, and then when I got up from drinking, took my last mouthful and swallowed it, I turned and looked, and about 4 out of 20, 25 people were steady looking over their shoulders, watching me drink at the drinking fountain. That's how long it was. So I knew, okay, I feel like I have to go to the bathroom now. They were super busy. That's when that other guy came down. So there was almost 3 of them there, but he wasn't actually really. It was crazy. Like 2 or 3 other people came in, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm waiting. But then I did get her attention, and I said, okay, 2 things. In about an hour, I think I can hold it for about an hour. I'm going to need to go to the bathroom. And then I said something about, can I make another phone call or something? And she said, yeah, you can probably make another phone call. I think that's what she said. I can't remember. I had 2 things. And then so I waited. So about the time she was leaving, it had been about 40 minutes. Then I said, excuse me again, can I make another phone call? And she said, why don't you just wait until another person comes on, because she was going out the door. They buzzed her out the door, and they got real busy, and the other person came on or whatever, but they were so busy or whatever. And so whenever other police officers came in there, I had said, she said, wait till the next guy comes on. I said, that'll be fine. And then she went out the door to go home, and the next guy came on. I waited till it was a time when it wasn't too much busyness, and I said, excuse me, can I make another phone call? I was really worried about Papa, okay? I was worried about him. He's almost 80 years old. He's stressing out. I mean, you know how you feel when you want to do something to help somebody, and then you get frustrated because you don't know how to use an ATM, or he can't get the money, or he can't get that much money, or what he was supposed to do, and just everything that was happening.
Right.
They brought William in.
Right.
And that I did cry when they brought William in. Not right away.
Into the jail?
Yeah, and they had him in coveralls already, and they had him in a cell. And he said something to me. A couple of things before he said, and then I started crying in the cell, because I didn't want to do that. I don't know, I was in shock, whatever, I don't know. But yeah, I broke down and started crying. I cried 2 times, and then that was it. And then so then I waited, and I watched the clock, and it was just a little over an hour. And I was timing, I was trying to think in my mind. You're sitting in there, you got nothing else to do. I'm thinking, okay, what time was it when I called Papa? What time was it? Came and got my personal effects.
You want out of there.
Times,
you want out of there. I know how it is. You just want out of there, man. Your minutes or hours. You're trying to figure
No, I can't say I felt like that right then. I was calm. I was fine. I just was sitting there going, okay, because I didn't really understand how many hours were going by.
Right, you
I
don't
didn't
know
really
there's
have
no
a time
clocks
set
there.
of time.
Right.
There was a clock, and I could see the clock, and I looked at the clock, and then I was like, now I'm worried about Papa. He's going to have a heart attack trying to rescue his daughter, and he can't do it. I'm so worried about it. I felt so bad for Donovan because he can't sleep all night. He's worried about it. So I kept asking, is my dad all right? Have you heard anything from my dad? Is it going to be okay? Do you think he's okay? You know, I mean, it seems like, 15, 20 minutes, maybe an hour goes by, and I'm thinking, I think it's been like an hour. I had to go to the bathroom then. So then Officer Morris, he was decent enough, came over, and I think he got a little aggravated because I asked one of the other officers that was in there, because he was busy. I asked one of the officers that came through there or something, can I make another phone call? Or can I make a phone call? And then I heard somebody say, she already had her call, And then when they walked out, they said, hey, it's up to him. This is his house. And I was like, okay, it's up to Morris. She seemed decent enough to me. So whenever a little more time went by, he went to go take somebody into their cell or do something with them. And the new person that came on, when the lady said, wait till the new person comes on, and I asked them, well, I didn't actually ask him, not a second time anyway. So I said to him, this is what I said to him. I remember I scooted real close and I said, hey, I heard you whistling that song, or something. I was just kind of chit-chatting with him. And I said, I probably really wanted to go to the bathroom about that time. I think I might have said something like, I got to go to the bathroom now. I told the lady, that's what I said. I told the lady, I said, I talked to her about an hour ago, right before she left, and told her I could hold it for about another hour. But I can wait. I can wait another 20 minutes. I'm feeling right about now. I could wait about another 20 minutes. They were busy, whatever. I'm like, oh, fine. I can wait. I can wait a long time. So I was going to wait 20 more minutes. So Morris finally, he got up after about 5 minutes. He said, you know what, I'll just kill two birds with one stone. Because obviously it's probably been over an hour since Papa could have got me out, or however much time elapsed. I don't know. I know my hour because I knew I was going to have to pee in about an hour. So he gets up from behind his desk, comes all the way down, comes around, has the keys, opens the door up, takes me out. He's going to take me to get my coveralls. Now I know, because I see how things are going.
You're still in the holding cell at this point.
I'm in the holding cell, and I've been watching. And then they come out, and they got these coveralls on, and they say, grab a blanket and a cup.
Right.
And I keep looking at the blankets and the cups. And I'm thinking, am I going to get a blanket and a cup? What is happening? There's nothing worse for me than not knowing what is happening or what is going to happen next. And I just did not know. And that is the single common thread throughout the entire start to finish is I don't really understand what's happening, and I don't know what's going to happen next.
Well, it's because you're getting in trouble and you don't know what you did wrong.
It's not making any sense in my mind.
Because you didn't do anything wrong. Did you think you did something wrong?
I didn't do anything wrong.
Okay, and you're in all this trouble, man. You're being tased, you're being handcuffed, you're being locked up. And what about when they were transporting to the police station about him slamming on the brakes?
Okay.
You never told me anything about that, at least since we've been talking today.
Right. When we left the hospital, he handcuffed me again and put me in the back seat of the police car. And we started driving. It's a Charger. I've driven a Charger. Okay. Like I said, I had it as a rental.
You've already signed things saying you're okay now.
I'm okay. But I mean, when we were going from my house down here in the Graham, okay, whatever. I'm out of it. Whatever. We get into the thing. I step out. My feet are bleeding. My legs. Whatever. My pants are falling down. I get in there. Whatever. Now I'm back in handcuffs after I signed everything. Signed all my rights away. I refused medical attention. Oh my God.
Okay, so is he driving you to the station?
Now he gets in the car again. He probably did that little radio thing for the odometer. I don't remember exactly right this second. He puts me in the back of the car. I'm handcuffed again. And he's driving down Hanley Graham. And I'm like, wow, look at us. We're going right past that car. And I'm thinking, whatever, I'm cool, whatever. It's fine. He gets to St. Francis, and he turns on St. Francis because that's the route he's going to take to the police station from Christian Hospital. Turns on St. Francis. There's Custom City Cycle. There's bunkers, and he's
going fast, going the speed limit.
Going over the speed limit.
He's going over the speed limit?
Flying, I mean. Oh, yeah, it's 25 miles an hour there, isn't it?
Yes, 25 miles an hour there. And how fast do you think he was going?
I don't know, we had just turned, so he was kind of getting on it, getting up, probably 30, 35. And I'm in the back seat. And there's headrests and stuff.
And he's speeding with you in the back seat, handcuffed.
Yeah,
not seatbelted in or not?
No.
What was the hurry?
I don't know. It's a Charger.
What's that got to do with
They're
it?
fun to drive.
You can drive it over the speed limit if you're in a Charger? It's okay to
Well,
ignore
that's
the
what I
speed
thought
limit?
when we were on Hanley and going past that car. I thought, well...
Were your injuries life-threatening?
How
You
would I
speeding
know?
on the way to the hospital, too?
Yeah, down Hanley Graham to the hospital, back from Hanley Graham.
Speeding the whole way? Okay.
Well, yeah, you know,
Okay.
it's like I don't know what it is really on Hanley Graham. I think it's like 35.
35.
So he might have just been doing 35 or 40 or whatever. We were passing cars. I mean, one or two. It's not like it's a super trafficy area. So he turns on St. Francis. It's kind of getting to be a hill, and then it kind of gets to be a hill. And so he's getting on it to get up to speed or whatever, a little over, whatever. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm sitting in the back seat, and all of a sudden, there's a car that pulled out of like the Lord Byron area or something, pulled out and was in the oncoming lane.
In your lane?
In the lane.
You're going to have a head-on collision.
And he slammed on the brakes. And my whole face and neck and shoulders smashed right back into the back of the front seat.
Did he know it?
Yeah.
Did he say anything?
No. He said I wasn't going to let them hit me.
And what happened to that car? What'd they do? Swerve out of the way?
They just got out of the way and went on about their business. And he kind of like looked and kind of looked in his rearview mirror.
That was a drunk driver maybe, huh?
Yeah, he could have.
And he let that drunk driver go because he had you in the back of the car. Didn't radio it into nobody else, so he saw somebody head on, leaving a bar, coming in the wrong way in your lane, head on.
He wasn't just pulling out into the wrong lane.
He'd been driving out.
He had been driving in the lane.
So he let a drunk driver
for like a minute.
Looked like he let a drunk driver go.
It was like,
do you think that guy was drunk?
I don't know. Why would you drive down the wrong side of the road?
Mm-hmm. And the officer did nothing. He didn't report it.
No,
didn't
he
call
didn't
him
get on that
report?
little thing like he did with the old. This has never occurred to me till you said it just now.
Didn't do anything about that
I
guy
didn't
driving
think about that.
possibly
The
intoxicated.
only thing I thought about was like, wow. And then I seen how he kind of looked when the car went by, and then he kind of looked in his rearview mirror, and then he said to me, I wasn't going to let them hit us or hit me. Wasn't going to let him hit me.
Well, yeah, if the guy was drinking and driving, why would you report him or take some action? Why would he let the guy
He
just go?
could have left me sitting in the back of his.
You weren't going to get out and run away if you
Charger.
stopped that guy.
I was handcuffed and locked in.
Right, okay. That guy could have went on and killed somebody that night. That guy could have.
Never occurred to me till you just now said.
That guy that was
Just trying to
drunk there
tell
that he
my
let go
story
could have
about
ended up
this.
killing somebody that night.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I didn't think about that.
You were a bigger priority because you had a little bit of pot in your house. Drunk
I
drivers
didn't have
aren't.
any pot in my house. Thank you very much.
Okay, they found a little bit of pot in your house that they claimed belonged to William. It was illegally obtained by an illegal search and seizure.
Like,
Okay.
I did not have any pot in my house.
You don't smoke pot, do you?
Well, I was just gonna say, usually this is how it goes, because I met this girl out at the chiropractor's office. We went back to her house and her son, and it's like it's cool, the two of them. That's usually how it goes. The mom smokes too. I don't.
Right.
I'm not better than anybody else. I'm not. I just don't like it.
So that pot that they found in your house, did they think that was yours or Williams?
They knew it was Williams.
They knew it was Williams, but they charged you with it?
Yes.
Why did they do that?
And they charged me for the paraphernalia.
And they knew that that's not yours. They knew that was Williams.
Yeah, I don't know why. I was surprised. They said 5 tickets.
Did they find William? What did they charge William with?
The same thing.
The same pot?
The same pot and the same
They
paraphernalia.
can't charge. It can't be both
They
people.
did.
That's illegal. What'd your lawyer say? What's your attorney tell? You can't charge 2 people. It's got to be one
William
person.
brought that up, but we were talking, and then Natalie and him were talking.
You might need an attorney. I mean, if your attorney's letting them charge both of you with the pot.
He's not. I mean,
Okay.
there was a lot to lay on him.
Okay.
I had my whole thing, and I kept it short. I mean, I was like, matter of fact. Okay, here's the 5 tickets. This is what they got me on. This is a lie. This is a lie. This is.
So they didn't find pot on William and on you.
No.
It's all the same pot.
We
They're
had
charging
no
both
pot.
of you.
No, neither one of us had pot on us. Well, duh, I didn't.
Okay.
And William didn't have any pot on him, and they found some pot
And where in the house did they find it?
in his room on the coffee
It was in
table.
William's room and they charged you with it.
Yeah, and there was like no other drugs or anything anywhere else in the house. Nothing. They didn't find anything. They looked in my roof rafters. They looked in the trees outside. They looked.
Did they ask whose pot it was?
They looked in the
Did they ever ask
refrigerator.
anybody whose pot it was?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Okay. You weren't there when they found it. You were already at the police station.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Or you
was
don't
at
know
the
where you
hospital
were.
or at the police
Right.
station or whatever. And then they brought William in, and then I cried a little bit, and then I had to go to the bathroom, and then they said, here, I'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone, and Mr. Morris, Officer Morris, went.
So when did you finally get out?
He took me over, and he gave me my coveralls, and I said, I'm big, I'm really big, don't give me anything too tight, and he still had the same one he picked out in his hand. He's like, this is a 2, I don't know what a 2 means, 2X, I don't know. And he said, this is the one, it'll fit you, there'll be room. And I said, okay. And I took my little coveralls, and I went in the bathroom, put my stuff in the locker, and I got my blanket and my cup, and my coveralls fit. They fit really good. They weren't really baggy or anything, and they were comfortable. They weren't too tight on me. And I went in, and when I went in to change, and the bathroom was like a bathroom, and I was in the bathroom, and he said, take everything off. You can keep your underwear on, but you can't have your bra. Okay, I didn't have any underwear on. So I took everything off, and then I put the coveralls on, and then I washed my hands and my face. I went to the bathroom.
Okay.
That was the 2 birds with 1 stone. I went to the bathroom while I changed into my coveralls. I think everybody gets to change into their coveralls in that bathroom.
Yeah.
And I went to the bathroom, and it took a long time for me to go to the bathroom because I had a lot to go.
Right.
And I did take time to wash my hands and wash my face, and I even took time to take a paper towel, put a cold paper towel. It was so sweltering hot in there, it was crazy. We were sweating to death in the holding cell. Even the police officers and the booking agents and stuff, they were like, oh my God, it's so hot in here. They had fans on them. People were trying to talk to them.
Air conditioning broke or what?
I don't know. It was ridiculous. And then the one cop had brought somebody in transit, and he was real nice. He came through, he put the person in the cell or whatever, and then came back out. He said, damn, it's cold, ice cold in there, which I didn't know where in there was, and it's hot. How can you guys even take it? I don't know how they can take it. It's wrong. It's wrong for them to have to work like that, too. And it's wrong
Well,
for
they're
us to
probably doing
sit
it
so.
deliberately.
Oh, okay.
By design, probably.
Yeah, it was freezing cold when you got in the cell. So I got my blanket and my cup, and then he took me to the cell, and then he put me in the cell, and there was already some lady in there, and she was sitting up, and I didn't know what to do or anything. I just didn't say anything. I just kept to myself. I just tried to not be my nice, friendly self.
It's okay.
I didn't know who this person was.
Yeah.
They looked kind of scary, so
You were intimidated.
and so I just acted like I said you know, try to pretend like something.
Try to be somebody you weren't. You had to put on a fake self because you felt threatened. I understand. That's normal. That's a coping mechanism. You did what you had to do. You wanted to survive. You're a survivor, so you know you're trying to be tough, even if you're not tough. You know, you're not being your real self. You were scared. Who wouldn't be?
So I had my blanket and my cup, and I sat down on the metal bench thing with a cushion on it.
Yeah.
And then eventually, because the lady in the cell with me, she was sitting up, and she would put the whole blanket over her head, and then she would call out and talk to fictitious people, and she would be saying stuff. I can't believe this is happening. What are you doing this to me for? And it was like she was talking to somebody. You know, like I had to look over at one time and see, was she talking on a phone or something? And so, but one of the last things that Officer Morris, I said I was steady talking to him because I took a little while longer to go to the bathroom, and I did wash my face and hands and stuff, and I was just snapping. I had opened the door. Once I had finished going to the bathroom, I opened the door up. I don't like closed-in places. That's why my bathroom door at home is always open. So I had the door open about 8 to 10 inches, and I was just finishing up washing my hands and patting my face with the water and snapping up the rest of my coveralls, and he kind of came back because it was a bit. He said, take care of what you need to do, then come out. Well, when I came out, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know to turn left from where we came from or turn right. I had my clothes in my hand. I didn't remember. So he actually did come back, but when I came out with my clothes in my hand, I had paper towels. My paper towels I would dry my hands with. Didn't know where to go with them. I walked over to what I saw was a container directly in front of me from exiting the bathroom, and I looked in, and there was like coveralls or blankets or some clothes and stuff in there.
Laundry.
So I looked at him and he said, there's the trash, which was behind me. When I exited, it was on the same wall as the door. So I went over and threw my paper towel in the trash, and then he took me into the room where I could put my clothes in the locker. And he said, because on the board it said 15, because when you don't got anything to do in the holding cell, you might be looking up at the board once I finally started to, maybe come out of shock, in and out a little bit, like when they brought William in, I totally broke down. I think I was in shock all the way up to that time anyway. But I looked up and I was like, okay, there's something about this board, okay, because it took me a long time before I thought, I'm going to look up there and my name is going to be up there, because they were referring to it or whatever, and that was really hard to take, to see my name up on that board. And then after I got over that, it was probably an hour or so later, and I looked up there again and just kind of reading the board for something to do, and it said 15, and I thought it said, because you got to follow it over and up and look at the column that says locker number or something, so I had 15. So when we walked back there to put my clothes in the locker, he said 15, I said 15. He was trying to get into locker 18. And I was like, is that locker 15? And he looked and he said, no, it's not. And I said, where is locker 15? And we almost couldn't find it. The way they were lined up with the numbers, I was like, oh, here it is right here. Well, it already didn't have a lock. It was already on it or something. It was something where he knew, okay, that lock is already taken or something. I didn't. I said, well, here it is right here. So he ended up putting me in locker number 22. And then we went out and I got my blanket and my cup, and then I went into the cell. The lady kept hollering out and doing crazy psychotic stuff.
So she was a mental patient.
Something was wrong with her.
She's talking to herself.
Yeah. And so then I finally laid down and covered up with my blanket. And when I did that, she laid down and covered up with her blanket instead of just sitting straight up in her bed the whole time. The whole time we were in there, she was either sitting straight up in her bed or sitting straight up in her bed with the blanket completely over her.
Older lady?
54. Her name was Elaine. And
what was she there for?
we didn't really talk about anything, but like right at the tail end, like the next morning at breakfast, the donut and stuff, because you hear the keys all night long, you hear the door, I'm waiting for my name to be called. We actually had a third person come in. And this lady knew exactly what she was doing. I sat up because any time you're seeing somebody, something to look at, something for your mind.
Stimuli.
And I looked, saw bright lights and TV on real loud. And I looked and I said, she walked right in that cell, surveyed the situation, knew she was in the top bunk because she was the third person in there, stepped on that table, stepped on that sink, hopped right up onto that bunk, got in her position on her knees, put her blanket over her head, and then the next morning I noticed too what she did. She put her thing over her head and went to sleep. No big deal, like it was nothing. I didn't say word one to nobody. It was fine with me because I wasn't talking to anybody either, at that time. I had laid down, and when I laid down, the crazy lady laid down, and then she started snoring. This was before we had a third person, just me and her. And I was kind of comforted by the snoring. I could hear the loud TV, the lights were bright, but I could hear the rhythm of the snoring, and I was comforted by that. It didn't last very long. And so then she was up again or whatever. So then the lady came in, this other lady, and she knew exactly what she was doing. She laid down and she started snoring. Because the other lady was sitting up in her bed, just looking at me or just sitting there, or had the cover over her head or just talking. Pick one. She was doing one of those 3 or 4 things. And then I started hearing the other lady on the top bunk start to snore and stuff. And I thought, okay, this is good. Whenever the other lady's not acting crazy, I can listen to the snoring and I'll be okay. So I did all that, and then guess what happened in the morning? That was the morning when the other lady came about 4 or 5 in the morning. And in the morning when they started coming around, you have no concept of time. You have no idea what time
I know.
It's really freakish. Really freakish.
Twilight Zone.
Yeah. And then like people were getting out. You could hear the other doors opening and slamming because they got out of their jail cell. They might have called the name if you could hear it. And then while I was sitting there looking around, I just kept laying there because I had to pee really bad. And both the ladies, I laid on the bottom bunk. There's 2 bunks in the toilet right there. Mm-hmm. And I laid on the bottom bunk with my head on the toilet side. And then she came in and stepped up and went up too. And then my head was right there by the toilet. And so one lady used the toilet in the middle of the night, like in the wee hours of the morning. Mm-hmm. And she used the toilet, the crazy lady. And then the other lady got down out of her bed from the top bunk, and she used the toilet in the wee hours of the morning, and I didn't. Not that you know, I mean, it's still going to be light in there, and it's still going to be a camera. So I just kept laying there because, like, when I go camping and stuff, I can hold it a long time.
Right.
And I just kept holding it and kept holding it, and I was just kept looking. Then I'm sitting up and I'm looking around. I look at the toilet and I'm looking around and I look at the toilet and then I try to lay back down again. I had to go to the bathroom really bad, but I would have to take off my whole coveralls and go to the potty. I'm not that. You know, but the camera, there was a camera right there.
Right.
And that monitor, there's like a big monitor where you can, everybody in there, in their cells, holding cells, anybody that's in that room, in the holding cell room, can see that monitor. Now, this is a big monitor, and then, there's like 6 different frames or whatever. But I was like, I was trying to deduce, okay, how long can I hold it? When am I going to get out of here? I hope Papa's okay. And there's a million things going through my mind. And whenever anybody would come by, I would say, have you heard anything about my case? Or have you heard from my Papa? Has anybody come for me? Nope. All I know is you got a $1,500 bond. Blah, blah, blah. And then the donuts came, and then I sat up and I just told the ladies, I said, hey, y'all, I said, I can't have any donuts, so you can have mine. Because I couldn't have any donuts. And that's fine, because I don't want any donuts. I wasn't hungry or anything. I said to go to the bathroom really bad. And I was trying to figure out a way I could go to the bathroom. And I said, well, how long? What time is it? Well, how long?
Why should you ask them if you could use the bathroom?
There's a toilet right there.
That's what they told you?
Well, no, I didn't ask.
You could have asked them.
There's a toilet right there.
Yeah, but you could say, this is on camera. I don't want to pee on camera. You have the right to use another bathroom if you want to, I believe.
I don't know.
Well, you got to know your rights. You got to know your rights or you can't stand up for them.
Yelled at me or something. So I just laid there. I laid back down. And then when I was sitting up, this is the other thing I noticed that girl on the top bunk did. And I figured it out. Because on the bottom bunks, the angle iron came down like this to support. So at the head and foot of your bed was this big angle iron coming down like a triangle, you know. And I looked up at hers because I noticed I noticed how she was sleeping. And she had like a pillow because it went whoop at the end. And I was like, how is she doing that? I looked over at my stuff and I looked at the lady across from me. And I was like, I see she pushed her cushion. She scooted her cushion up so she could have...
Double it over?
No, she just scooted it up. Then I noticed it. The top bunk, the supports are underneath. So her little angles are underneath. So at the top bunk, preferred bunk, really, you can push your whole cushion up over that edge right there, and you got a pillow. You know? And I was just like, I noticed that, and I was like, then guess what? You hear the door, you hear the loud keys. They came to our cell, they opened up our cell, they called her name.
Called her name?
After everybody else I hear this one and that one and down, and he finally actually came to my cell and actually opened my cell up.
The third lady that was in, or the one that been there the least amount of time?
Yeah.
That bums you out, don't it?
Yeah. And then actually, you know, like maybe a little more hopeful, a couple more times or something, and then I'm sitting up, and then I laid back down because I really had to go to the bathroom. I thought, girl, you can't lay back down now. I did. I laid back down. I was okay. I could still hold it. I'm laying there, and I heard the door, and I heard the keys. I heard them open our cell door, and I just kept laying there.
You kept what?
I just kept laying there because they weren't going to call me. I just gave up hope.
You lost hope. Yeah, I did that while I was in that same jail cell. You know, I felt like I was going to, wanted to kill myself.
And they did call my name.
They did call your name finally?
Yeah, and I got up, so I got to change my coveralls. I got to use the regular bathroom again in privacy.
Yeah, finally got to go to the bathroom. Okay. They let you out the back door then finally?
Yeah, the lady was kind of matter of fact. Because the other lady, the kind of crazy lady, when she came with the donuts, she started to say, hey, how is this happening? I just showed up for court, and now I'm in court, and that's how we had talked to tail end at the beginning in the morning. And she said, it was after the other lady left. It was after the donuts. And she said, well, I'm in here for contempt of court. She said, what is that? She asked me, what is contempt of court? And I said, I think it's when you are in court and you act really bad or you're disruptive.
Who's in there for contempt of court?
This crazy lady.
Oh, okay. The first lady was in your cell.
And I said, I think it's when you
misbehave in court.
Act up in court or you're disruptive in court. And then on the movies it says, I'll put you in contempt of court or something. And And that's what happened. And she said, well, I'm always so decent and good, and I finally told them off or something or blah, blah, whatever. Yeah, that's what happened to her. And I said, well, how much is your bond? And she said, I don't got none. She said, I don't have none.
They just let her go. Under recognizance.
When would they let her go? She's sitting in there.
Oh, she's still there?
I don't know.
Oh, they can only hold you for 24 hours.
She was like, I don't even know what time I got here. And I was like, I don't know. I got here in the holding cell probably around 10 o'clock, so you probably got here at 9. We weren't really talking back and forth a lot, and that's all that was said. And then, when the lady came with the donuts, she put the donuts down on that little hole thing with the little shell. Because I seen, okay, so she put it down, and I just lifted my head up and said, hey, I can't have any donuts, so you can have mine. I laid my head right back down like nothing. And the one lady, the third lady, the one on the top bunk, she actually said something. She said, thank you. And that was it. That's all she ever said the whole time. And then they called her name and she went out. But when they called her name and they called her name and she got down, she didn't do the little sink and the little toilet step down. She had to get down the hard way. Right. She was kind of heavier and it hurt her stomach and stuff. But she reached her little toes down and got down on the bottom bunk. It's hard to do that. And so she got out but she climbed right up there both times, going potty and everything. Yeah. She just knew what she was. But in front of the officers, she didn't do it like that. I probably would have, because that would be more safe to me. I don't know. Maybe they would have thought it wasn't, or they were going to damage your sink or something. Yeah. I don't know. So maybe that's why she did it. So then the lady was getting ready to open the gate, and I had sat up because I want to see somebody else. It's the new person, the same one that came with the donuts a little earlier. And then I seen her, and I said, do you want me to move those donuts? Because there was still a couple donuts there. And then that's when I saw the napkins, because I didn't know if they just laid the napkins right down on the metal or what. I said, do you want me to move those? And she said, no, I can do it. She kind of scooted them a little bit, and then she opened the door up, and the donuts stayed on there. She let the girl out, closed the door, took the girl away. She came back and picked up the donuts later. Yeah. Drove away, I guess.
Feed them to the next prisoners.
Probably. And then when she, I'm surprised that crazy lady Elaine didn't even get the donuts to save for later, because you got to eat something. You don't get very much, I heard,
No, they don't feed you much.
I mean, a donut, and I heard a bologna sandwich, and then you get like a little TV dinner or something.
A little banquet dinner. So. Little banquet TV dinners, yeah, that's gross. Yeah, nasty.
Yeah. So then when they called my name, the officer opened the thing up, and this is probably because she's already dealing with William over the men's side or something.
Thought he what?
Probably dealing with William over the men's side or something. I don't know, because William stuffed toilet paper up in that light thing. Now the other lights out in the hallway were still bright coming in, but even the two black guys he was in the cell with, they were like, oh, I only got some good sleep, because he blocked the light in the cell where he could reach. And so she got mad about that or whatever, and they probably knew they know all the scuttlebutt. I heard the guy upstairs gossiping about me to the ladies in the front office.
Guy upstairs, what do you mean?
When I came to bond William out, some old cop stood right there and started talking about me while he knew I was sitting right there.
What was he saying?
I heard him say something like, oh yeah, that's that lady. And I heard him say husband assisted. And her husband was in on the pot and stuff, or I don't know, husband and assisted or some shit like that. And then she said something like that, and she's here to bond her kid out. She got arrested last night too and just got out. And then they kind of looked over at me, and I was dead. I never do this, but I was dead on looking at him. I was looking to see what their eyes were doing, like a little anything you could tell. Then I knew he was talking about me and all that, and what I could hear. And so, but that was after I got out and everything. So yeah, I got out. The lady said, sign here or some shit or something like that, and then she told me, she said, when you go out the door, turn right, and then she said turn left or right or whatever, and then she was talking about something else, and then I was like, I can't even remember what I'm supposed to do, and so I went out into a little garage area where maybe they transit the people in, close it down, and then lock and unlock, buzz in, buzz out, I don't know. So then I went out, because the door was open, nobody buzzed me in or out, the door was open, and I walked out into the thing, and I knew to go to the right, because that was where the opening was. Right. And once I got out there, I didn't know to go left or right, and I knew she had told me, go X and so I went back in there, and I said, excuse me, which way am I supposed to go? Because I did not know.
Right.
And she told me, go to the left, go to the back. When she said back parking lot, then I knew.
Okay.
Not the front parking lot,
Right.
the back parking lot.
Right.
Not left, right, or something. I had to right,
So you went
left,
out there
left.
again.
I went out there and I walked out in the parking lot just a few minutes, and then I could see Papa's truck, and then he saw me, and he drove over and picked me up.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to go get money to get William out.
What's that?
Then I had to go get money to get William out.
You already paid to get you out.
Yeah.
What time was it? Was it daylight?
It's like 10.
What did he say to you?
I did. How you feeling? How you doing?
How'd you feel when you seen him? Were you glad to see him?
I guess.
Probably a little bit of everything. Glad, happy, sad, embarrassed, probably all kinds of emotions. You didn't do nothing wrong. So you really had nothing to be embarrassed about. You were a victim.
No, I just
You were a
was
victim.
calm. I just was calm. I was,
You were glad to finally be out, I guess, huh?
no, I was in a daze.
You're still in shock.
I was in a daze.
Couldn't believe this was happening to you. You're sleeping on the couch 1 minute, the next thing you're being tased while you're handcuffed. That ain't supposed to happen in America.
Is this America?
It used to be America. It's kind of a reasonable facsimile anymore. Our Constitution's being destroyed. All of our rights are being taken away from us. Because people don't stand up and fight for them anymore. You can't be ignorant of your rights or you can't protect them. You know what I mean? You can only protect what you're aware of. If you're not aware of them, you can't protect them. So, the more aware you become of your rights, the better you can protect them. And the less likely they'll violate them. They trick you. When they got you to come outside, they were tricking you. They didn't have a warrant. They knew they couldn't just come in unless they got you to open up the door. They're not going to bust that door down, or they would have done it.
As soon as I turned around to go in, as soon as they smelled that door open, they were on me. They ambushed me. I think the whole thing was an ambush.
Well, of course it was. They gave up false pretenses. They
And
gave
plus,
it, and the guys that they were there to investigate.
knocking on my window and waving.
Right. Why
Like
they waving?
they were
And
friendly,
I would
like
want to
they were
know.
somebody I knew.
We'll write all the questions
They
out, but I would
tricked
want to
me
know
into-
why they never interviewed anybody about the hit and run when that's what they came up there for. When did they ever? Was that just a guise? Was that just a false pretense? Okay. So that's a lie. So it's okay for the police to lie as long as they get what they want. That's the message they're trying to send, and it's not a good message.
The end justifies the means.
It's not respectable. You didn't do anything wrong.
I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. I did not do anything wrong.
Right, but you're suffering. You can't even be in your house. They condemned your house, didn't they?
Well, they didn't condemn it. They revoked my occupancy permit.
Okay. And did they stage an area? Did they do something around your furnace? What did they do?
Well, it was funny because when William first came into the holding cell area in his little coveralls, and that was not a very pretty sight for me and my psyche, but whatever. He said to me, "Mom, is there anything I can do around the house?" And then he said later, is there any? And then he said, "It's only minor things, Mom. It's just some clutter in Natalie's room because we use it as a storage room because she's in college, and I've used it as a storage room. And we're in the middle of moving around bedrooms, and we throw off the stuff there, we set the bedroom up, and then we come back for the stuff, and then reorganize it in the bedroom.
That's typical.
So we use it for a storage room. It's a huge room. It's 12 by 13 room. I can use it as a storage room if I want." So he's so cute. He goes, "Yeah, Mom, it was just a smoke detector and the clutter in Natalie's room." Well, it was. Then I found out it was the smoke detector, and what it was clutter around the furnace flue, which gets extremely hot, and you don't want anything around there, including any body parts. You can get burned.
Right.
I know how hot that flue is. So, as soon as I get home, well, not as soon, but I'm walking down the hall, I go in there, I'm with William, I said, "Let's check out the furnace closet." And I opened up the closet, and I was like, what the hell? A big, gigantic, 1,000-roll Scotch sheets, and it comes with 2, 4,
Toilet
6,
paper,
8.
big thing of toilet paper.
Yeah, a gigantic brick of toilet paper.
Right.
Was cockeyed, shoved up between the wall and the furnace flue.
They staged
And
it.
the thing about me is it was cockeyed. You know what I'm saying?
You can do. You
I didn't put it
straight.
there. And
Right.
I opened the door up and I'm like, what the hell is this doing here?
You didn't realize right away what had happened.
Squared up and they're organized. That's how I like.
Right.
You'll see me move stuff because it has to be square.
So they created a scene to make it look like you had a fire hazard that wasn't true.
Absolutely, they did that. And as far as I know, my smoke detector was on the wall.
And they tore a smoke detector down, claiming.
They might have. I don't know.
Well, as far as you know, you had one. You don't remember.
I had one.
Right.
Okay.
Then it was on the floor. Yeah.
Now, wait a second, because also on the other side of the flue was this tall box, like a 4x4 box, cardboard box that I had wrought iron candle holders in.
Right.
And they had that shoved up on the other side of the flue.
Creating a fire hazard again.
Right, on both sides of the flue. Toilet paper on one side, because my neighbor kept saying, no, it's clutter around your furnace. He kept saying something about your flue.
So they staged the scene to make you look.
When the inspector got there, they told William 2 hours before the inspector got there, because they kept calling him, they couldn't get a hold of him and get him to come out. Excuse me. They told William, we're going to get your house condemned, after they said all the really other rude, ignorant things to William. Just totally inappropriate.
Yeah, what did they say to William that they found?
Well, I can't really say because I wasn't there, but
what did William tell you they told him?
Well, after he told me about a lot of the other really ignorant things, like calling me a bitch.
Who called you a bitch?
The two guys that came to my porch that were all dressed in black.
They told William you were a bitch?
Yeah, the one guy said, and she is a bitch. She's such a bitch. And they went through my cabinet.
Who was he saying that to?
William.
He was telling William you were a bitch?
Your mom's a bitch. She sucker punched me. And then he turned and looked and said, and she is a bitch. That's just the way William said it. Made eye contact with him, trying to rouse him up or whatever.
Trying to get William to provoke you. Trying to provoke William to get him to strike him or something, huh?
Right. And so William just said, there's no way I can believe that about my mom.
And you didn't sucker punch them. You never touched them, did you? Other than put your hands up. And they told William that you sucker punched them.
No. That cop, detective, he said, your mom is such a bitch. She sucker punched me. And then he put his hand to his chin and turned and looked right at William and said, and she is a bitch. And then William was saying, there's no way my mom did not do that. I cannot believe this. It's totally unbelievable about my mom, blah, 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 blah. And then the other cop goes, I think she sucker punched me too. And that's the witness that Gretchen is. And this.
What do you mean the witness that Gretchen is?
Well, because when Gretchen was out there and I was still on the ground, and this Detective Reese came around the corner and they were tasing me on the ground while I was handcuffed, and it's like a little kid with the hand in a cookie jar. I was on my stomach, so I couldn't see, but you could just tell by what I was hearing. And as soon as Reese came up, he said, "Hey, what's going on?" Like he was surprised. What the fuck are you Nimrod's doing or something? You know what I'm saying? Like something like that. And then the one cop said right away, "She hit me." And then the other guy said, "Are you okay?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm fine." That other cop, and Gretchen's the witness, he didn't say nothing. Yeah, she hit me too, or none of that.
She can verify that the one cop's lying, right?
Yep.
Their stories will be revealed.
I had 2 counts of assault, and I did not assault anyone, much less 2 guys. And furthermore, with me blocking them with my forearm to keep them, when they were on me, pushing their way into my house, I'm alone, it's dark, and they're 2 men.
They've never identified themselves.
Right, so
they could be there to abduct you for all you know.
I don't want to think about that.
Well, now you know better to ever go outside just because you see men outside waving at you. That's not smart. Can't do things like that.
They acted like they knew me. I didn't have my glasses on.
Yeah, bad people could be sneaky. Okay, realize bad people that are out to hurt you can be very sneaky. They can deceive you. Don't be deceived. Okay, don't do anything you don't have to do that you don't want to do.
Okay. Yeah.
Goodness.
So, yeah, they said some really ignorant things to William.
Like what?
Like we're Hoosiers and our house is dirty and, what else did he tell me? said, you guys are just a bunch of heroin addicts.
They called you heroin addicts?
Multiple times. So did the lady in the morning.
What?
When William was throwing up in the morning, he said, hey, I think I'm going to get sick. And then when he started throwing up and everything, the lady goes, that's just because you're on heroin and you need a fix.
This lady police officer said that? Okay, and what did they say to him about what they found in your room?
They found my little toy vibrator thing, dildo, whatever you want to call it. And they said to William, they said, oh, well, your mom, she can't even get a real man, so she's got to use this dildo.
They told him about
vibrator.
They told him about toys of yours that they found, sexual toys, and made claims that you couldn't keep a man. That's what they're saying.
Something like that. Like
we'll find his story. We'll get him to tell.
I couldn't get a real man, but I only really have the one.
Well, what is it? Why is it their business or their position to tell your son anything like that? That's emotional abuse. It's psychological.
They said all kinds of stuff to him. Why don't you just tell us where the heroin is? They checked our trees. Gretchen said they were up looking in our trees with flashlights.
Looking for heroin?
All the roof rafters. They searched the outside of the house. They searched the garage. Then they were telling William, you know, we need to get into that shed. We need to get into that shed, they kept telling him. He's like, dude, I can't even get into the shed.
Shed's locked?
My shed's locked.
Who's got the key to the shed?
We don't even have a key to the shed. My mom lost it. And I did. I was really bitching and complaining.
Did they ever get in the shed?
Hell if I know. I think they did. And then he finally conceded and he said, well, the only thing I can tell you is I know where my mom keeps extra keys for stuff around there. So he said, can I show you where it is? And they had him handcuffed on the couch, so they said, no, just describe it to us. And he said, well, it looks like a picture, but it's not a picture. So I had that little cabinet that Uncle Jimmy had, the Bombay furniture, and he had the little piece of material that matched his chairs. And you open it up, and it's like this thick and hangs on the wall. And you open it up, and it's got all the little hooks and keys and stuff. So, and I guess they found it. It was on the wall perfectly. It was a little crooked. You know how I am about squaring things up.
Right. I don't understand why he would want to help them do an illegal search.
He got in there. He was trying to cooperate.
Yeah, that's not.
Be compliant.
Yeah, that's not smart. Because everything that you do, they're using against you.
Yeah,
everything you do for them to help them, they're using to try to hurt you. So why you want to help people that are trying to hurt you doesn't make sense.
I don't know, because Madison came home. He got charged with selling marijuana.
Craig got charged with manufacturing meth, and they let him go too. But now he's in jail for weeks and weeks and weeks and going to prison. They have to apply for Craig Oppie. Yeah, you know when Craig's house got raided next door to Melanie's?
Yeah.
And they got him for manufacturing meth?
Did they book him in and make him sit in a holding cell and all that?
Yeah, but then he got out quite a while, but he's been in jail for months now.
But they did this to Madison, and because Madison showed where JJ was living now for the hit and run or whatever, then we think that either he snitched on somebody,
right? They're not for hit and run. They're trying to find out who he's getting the pot from. Okay, they're not going to let
that much pot.
Doesn't matter. They want to know where he got it from, and he told them.
They charged him with selling, they let him go. They didn't even book him in.
They have to apply for the warrant first, Kelly. It's just like me when they booked me for those bootleg movies.
Why did my son, who got a lesser charge, he got misdemeanor pot and misdemeanor paraphernalia, and the other kid got probably those two and selling, and he was a catch and release.
Because he cooperated, because he became a snitch.
So that's why my son was trying to help them and cooperate and be compliant. And plus, my son is a little good-hearted and a little naive.
But he wouldn't tell him where he got the pot from. Madison would. Probably more likely. Madison told them who
got the pot from Madison.
Yeah, but Madison got it from somebody, and they're probably trying to get Madison and William to tell us who's your supplier. And Madison probably cooperated and told them, and that's why he got out real quick, and William didn't. William probably wouldn't cooperate and tell him who were getting it from. Madison probably did. They just said, show us where JJ lives to get him out of there. They're not going to make him snitch in front of everybody.
Oh, I didn't think about that. He was really rattled when they handcuffed the mom. And you know what else I think? When I think about it now, I'm not now, but before when I laid in the tub and thought about stuff. But you know what? They went down there under the guise of this hit and run. And then the other day, Brenda kind of said, yeah, I knew they went there for the hit and run questioning, because they were like undercover cops with
You see, they handcuffed his mom on purpose so he could see, and then they would tell him, if you don't tell us who you got this from, then we're going to arrest your mom, like they did you, just like they did you.
I thought about it later.
That's why they got out of it. They
went to her door, and they opened her storm door, and they stepped up to the threshold like that, and she stood sideways, and he tried leaning and pushing in, and she pushed him back. So guess what? When they got to my house, they didn't open they knew. And they practiced on the assault charge, and that was still fresh in their mind when they got down to my house. And when I tried to go in my house, they tried to come in after me as soon as that door opened, and then them pushing on the door. Okay. They're getting in, they're on top of me, they're pushing on me, on my body. I reached up to block, and guess what?
What?
That's assault. And they dragged me out on the porch and said, put your hands behind your back.
Okay. Well, what doesn't make sense is they found pot at Madison's house, and they found pot in your house, and they charged both you and William for the pot.
The same pot.
And you both had the same pot. You and William were both charged with the same pot and had to post bond to get out. Madison, they found pot at his house, and him and his mom, she wasn't even taken in or charged, and he was never charged or had to post bond. They were both released. Yeah, you both did the same thing. You both had pot in your house. So why are they getting different treatment than you and William?
Because I yelled and screamed, because I wouldn't let them get in my house, because I put my arm up to block them when they were.
They didn't have a warrant. They didn't have the right to be in there. You had the right to defend your property.
They said I assaulted them. They said, you hit me, that's assault, you know? That's why.
Okay, and
because they can.
And because Madison cooperated and probably told them where he got pot from. They got him away from there where he wouldn't have to snitch in front of everybody, and they probably worked him and said, you want to see your mom back in handcuffs? You want your mom to go to jail? Because they did it to you. See, so you can see how they play. They probably did, yeah, I'm good. They probably did the same thing to William. Probably told him, you know, we're going to arrest your mom if you don't tell us where you got this from. He probably
was already arrested. Okay. I went away in the car.
Okay.
They told him some stuff.
Well, we'll get William's deposition. We'll get it all on tape. Like I said, the truth, if you stick with the truth, you can't lose unless you're wrong.
That's not true. People tell the truth and they do lose. Like people that get raped and stuff, and then they go through all that.
They lose with who? With the system or with God?
Well, with the system.
Okay, well, who you really want to win with? Doesn't matter. As long as you do the right thing and tell the truth, you'll win with God. That's what matters. The system's evil. We know that. That's why we're fighting the system, because we know it's evil. And if people don't stand up and say that it's evil, it'll get more and more evil. Your great-grandchildren will be suffering. They'll be getting way worse treatment than you're getting. It's getting worse, not better. So that's why we have to speak up, take action, stand up for our rights. This isn't legal. You can't expect me to obey the laws if you're not going to obey the laws. You have to be able to tell the police, don't point fingers at me unless your hands are clean. Their hands aren't clean, are they? No, their hands are very dirty. They're smoking pot. They're buying bootleg movies and fixing tickets. They're breaking into houses illegally. They're speeding with people in the back seat, endangering lives. They're letting drunk drivers go. There's a whole slew of illegal activities that the police are involved in, but yet they want to enforce the laws on everybody else. That's hypocrisy.
They tried to push their way in my door. They were both pushing on my door to try to get in. They were trying to get in.
That's illegal without a warrant, isn't it?
I don't know why
they can't
even
force their way in your house.
They thought they were going to find something big.
You guys don't deal drugs, do you?
No.
And I mean, William smokes some pot once in a while, like Bill Clinton did. Barack Obama, the President of the United States, has admitted smoking pot.
He works and goes to school and goes to bed. One night, those kids went to bed at 8:30. I couldn't even believe it. I said, son, it's a school night. You can't have a friend spend the night.
You're a good mom. You're a good citizen. You did not do anything to deserve this. You just got to remind yourself, you're a victim here.
I know I'm a good mom, and I know I'm a good citizen.
That's right.
I know I didn't do anything wrong, and I don't really have to remind myself, except sometimes when I'm scrubbing on the floor.
You're being victimized here by, and it's not the whole police department, but it's a few officers that are breaking the law, and they're ruining lives by doing it.
It's really having a bad effect on me.
You can't even be in your house right now. You don't even know when you'll be able to be back in your house right now.
I just look at that little sticker.
And how much money is this costing you so far? How much money is your attorney wanting to charge you for you and your son?
Probably $2,000, and I already spent over $2,000.
And you're not even working right now?
I'm not working.
So you lost your job, you're out of a job, and you did nothing wrong, but yet you're needing $2,000 to defend yourself for a charge that
I got $2,000.
it's bogus. But that's not the point. Whether you have it or not, is it money you should be spending defending yourself if you did nothing wrong.
Right.
You've got a mother down the street that they found pot in her house. Why isn't she being charged? Why are you being charged and she's not? What's the difference?
Yeah, well, William noticed that right away. You know, you don't know what you're being charged with. They don't tell you anything. That's why I'm telling you. When you don't know what is happening and you don't understand what is happening, and nobody's gonna tell you anything. You don't until I took and put my regular clothes back on and walked out there and signed the last piece of paper and went out that door with whatever paperwork she handed me. I didn't even know anything. I did not know. I had to look at it and go, okay, this says assault. Okay, this says assault. This says resisting arrest. This says pot and pot paraphernalia. And I looked through them and I really was counting them. 5.
Okay.
I counted 5.
If you're not guilty of any of this stuff, do not plead guilty. Don't plea bargain to any of this stuff. Don't let nobody say, let's reduce it to littering. You know, if you're not guilty of anything, don't plead guilty to anything. Don't get suffered into a plea bargain, because then you let the police off the hook. Then there's no record of it. Let them go ahead and try to prosecute you for this, and then you turn around and you beat it, and you sue them. You let the ACLU, you let somebody that can, you know, if your attorney doesn't have the ability to do it, or if he's in a position that he can't,
you fire that attorney and you get another attorney.
You don't have another one. You have the ACLU. They are attorneys. That's what the ACLU is a group of attorneys that sue corrupt police departments and police brutality. They protect your rights. That's all they do.
That's all they do.
The American Civil Liberties Union. They're there to protect your civil liberties, which were violated. Your civil liberties were violated. They had no right to come into your house. They had no right.
It's just all about law enforcement.
Pretty much, or anything that they're trying to impose. Like you can study it. I'll pull it up on the internet.
Unions or something.
They have nothing to do with unions, you know. With the right to be represented, you know, your constitutional rights and stuff.
Okay.
Civil liberties. You know, like one of the things they did, the jail in Florida, they took all the newspapers away, okay, from all the prisoners. They couldn't let them have newspapers every day. So the ACLU just went to court and had a judge rule, no, they can have newspapers. They fight for prisoners. They fight for, you know, people being done wrong.
Do you know what it's like to sit? Well, you do.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible. It's psychological abuse. They deliberately.
So messed up. I was like, I think I might have to stay here another 14 hours, roughly. You know what time it was?
Think about people that are there for life. Think about people that are there that have never done nothing
Well,
but
they get to
falsely
get out
accused.
and go down to like the mess hall or something, and they might get to get out in the yard like on the movies and stuff. I'm talking about people that do have to sit in that. Cindy Kinsel sat in that jail. She sat in that jail for days, X days or whatever. Some people do have to sit there more than
believe me, I know.
the 24-hour bullcrap, because I've seen people come out in court and they say, you know, and they're sitting there and they're looking like they're like drooling on themselves because they're psychologically messed up. Boy, do I know now. And you just said, well, look at this case in Florida when they said they were trying to take the newspapers away from prisoners.
They do that deliberately to destroy people.
You have to freaking have some kind of something.
Something to stimulate your brain, or goes to mush, or you start thinking bad, evil stuff, and you know you're.
I don't know what I would have done if I would have had to sit there. I think I could have made it. I would have just laid down and went back to sleep again. How long can you sleep in 24 hours?
Yeah, you just want to escape it all. You don't even want to think about it. I know.
That's all I would have done. I wouldn't have done. What am I supposed to do? Like run back and forth and like it was like 5 feet. You know, not even. There's a toilet. Just take
Well,
about 2.5 feet.
it's more horrible when you've done nothing wrong, because if you've done something wrong, you can reflect on, man, I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done this. I should have done this. But when you're being victimized like that and brutalized and terrorized, and you've done nothing, your brain can't comprehend
I'm
it.
not processing it.
Right, you're like freaking out. You have no choice.
I don't understand.
Because you can't blame yourself because you've done nothing. You didn't do anything, deserve it. If you've done nothing that you deserve it, then you can't. You have no remorse. You can't have remorse if you did nothing wrong.
The crazy lady didn't kind of understand what exactly all happened, and she didn't understand. She said, well, what is contempt of court? That's how I knew that's what she was in there. And then I told her what it was, and then I asked what's your bond, and she said she didn't have one. And that was it. That's the
But
only
she knew she did something wrong.
But she did say, she said, yeah, I did. I'm always decent, and I just had to tell my story. I had to tell them what was happening, and she went out. Whatever. She was in contempt of court. So, whatever. She didn't understand it. The other lady, the third lady that came in, she marched right in there like, okay, let's get through with this. She probably knew what she did, or right or wrong, like the boyfriend turned her in. Sometimes you do get like...
You were completely out of your element. You know, this is a world you've never even glimpsed at before, and you didn't deserve to be there. So, I mean, you're going to be in shock. You can't possibly deal with it and feel anything close to normal because there's no reason you should be there, other than you're being brutalized, terrorized by a corrupt system. It was all corrupt. They came under false pretenses. They're there about a hit and run, which was never even brought up again.
It didn't have anything to do with William.
Absolutely not. It was all a lie. They're lying to you to do whatever they can to get whatever they want because they're accusing you of things you're not guilty of. They're accusing you of being a heroin addict. You guys have never done heroin. You've never even seen it in your life, have you?
Never even seen it.
I've never even seen heroin in my life. I've never seen anybody even do heroin. Don't even know where you would get it from. But they're searching your house for heroin. And they're telling you that you're heroin addicts. That's evil.
Why would they do that? I don't understand that.
They're trying to, drive you out of town. They're trying to get you out of there. They look down on you. The same way Hitler looked down on the Jews. They think they're superior. Hitler thought he was superior to the Jews, and he tried to exterminate them all.
We're not doing anything wrong. William is a good kid. He goes to school. He works. He's a good boy. He helps Brenda all the time. Always down there mowing her yard and tilling her garden and fixing her bench. He almost cut his whole finger off trying to.
So the only thing that he's doing is the only thing that he's doing that you know that's illegal is smoking pot, which we already have knowledge of Florida police officers that smoke pot on a regular basis. We've got names. I've got people that. So there are officers that.
It shouldn't be illegal to smoke a little bit of pot. I don't like pot. I'm not into pot. I don't want to be around it. I don't want to smell it.
Well, between alcohol and marijuana, I think any intelligent human being would agree that alcohol brings far more suffering into the world than marijuana does. Yet alcohol is legal and marijuana is illegal in most states. That doesn't make sense when alcohol has caused so many deaths, so much suffering, so much pain, and death. And yet there's not even one case of anybody ever dying from smoking marijuana. So for that to be illegal and alcohol to be illegal is kind of absurd. But
that's kind of up to somebody else to decide. I don't know.
Right. And it's legal in 5 states now, so they're charging you with it. Although your neighbor wasn't charged, and she had pot in her house too. You're charged, and she's not.
Because I was like, why am I being charged with this? Well, because it was your house.
What's the difference between the pot that was in your house and her house?
There was a difference.
Okay, the quality maybe.
Her house was a lot more expensive.
Okay.
It was like what they call medical.
Okay, so she had the good stuff and didn't get charged. You had the shitty stuff and didn't get charged. So it's okay to have good pot in your house. If you're gonna have pot.
Trying to tell William, where's the good pot, or I don't know what they said. Where's the rest? I don't know what. I can't even really say, but I know they said this.
They kept interrogating him, and they had they never read him no rights.
Right. They kept saying, and then they kept saying, they said something about the pot, and he said, look, if I was, he said, look, you just busted my buddy down the street for selling, charged him. His pot is worth like X amount, $900, I think he said, for I don't know how many, whatever, grams or ounces or whatever. And the little bit of pot you found at my house is like the dirt weed, like the cheap stuff. And if I was selling it, I wouldn't be smoking. I can't even afford to buy the good stuff, is what he said. I can't even do that. I'm not selling pot. They try to tell me we're selling pot. They try to tell me we're heroin dealers. I don't know what all. You have to get the story from him.
Yeah.
He told me a lot about all the stuff that he said.
You can't remember it all.
And he probably didn't tell me everything either.
Right.
And I don't really even know how he told me about that other thing. That's embarrassing and rude and crude.
Let's see what the chief of police thinks about that, about his officers telling children about their parents' personal business and stuff, trying to embarrass and humiliate people. Because I don't think that's part of the police's duty. They're public servants. They're paid by our tax dollars. They're supposed to serve us.
They were going through the cabinets and checking, for stuff. But then they were like making fun of stuff. Oh, what do you got here? Like just whatever my dishes. I had some paperwork up in there in the same cabinet with my plates.
What were they saying about that stuff?
I don't know. You have to ask William. They went through all the cabinets. Of course, they're searching, so you understand that. But they didn't have
making derogatory comments as they went along.
Open the refrigerator up, so I'm getting ready to make banana bread. And you can never find the really good bananas to make banana bread with. They have to have freckles on them, or they have to be further along than that. That's the secret of the recipe. Because everybody makes banana bread, but nobody makes banana bread like I make banana bread.
Right.
So I've got a bunch of bananas in my refrigerator, and when you put them in the refrigerator, then they turn black.
Right.
So I got some black bananas in the front of my refrigerator, so I'm getting ready to make banana bread, and they're saying shit about, look at this nasty stuff in the refrigerator or whatever. I'm getting ready to make banana bread.
Right, they're not paid off for their opinions, really, but they do anyway, to hurt people.
Well, he's just sitting on the couch. He's just a kid, How can they do that to him?
They're making hurtful comments deliberately. Right. That's okay. They'll be held accountable for it.
They told him we're Hoosiers, we ain't got nothing going for us. And then he said, he laughed at him. He said, really? He said, because my two sisters are phenomenal. My one sister lives in Washington, D.C., and works at the White House, and my other sister was in California and got her license and is now in college. And he's like, they are phenomenal.
She really should have some pull. She should know some people. She works in the White House. She should know some people that can pull strings. I don't know what the point of working there if you don't use your pull. She's not exercising her power right. If she knows,
whatever.
Well,
I don't know about all that.
Yeah. It's all right. You're doing the right thing. As long as you stand up and tell the truth, they won't get away with it. You didn't make the complaint when they tased William, but they never did admit that, did they? They denied it.
No, Officer Peters knew.
He knew that they really had tased William.
He made him pull his pants down, and he took pictures, and he put a ruler up to it to take pictures so they could see the space exactly in centimeters.
Did you ever ask for copies of those pictures? Should have gotten copies of that stuff. You were entitled to it. That's your child who was abused. They're making evidence of it. I would ask them if they still have that evidence, or if they destroyed it. Get them to admit they destroyed that evidence. They had evidence of their officers abusing people. It'd be interesting if they kept it or destroyed it, wouldn't it? If they destroyed that evidence, those pictures he took, that's proof that they're covering up that they did something wrong, isn't it? You have a right to demand those pictures.
After that officer did that to William while he was standing at the car, waiting to get put in the car, with his hands cuffed behind his back, and the only thing that even could have been, the guy was saying, what's the name of the other kid? What's his last name? What's his last name? And William was like, I don't know his last name. I really don't know his last name, because they ran. And William obeyed,
He was tackled. I know the story. He's told me the story.
No. The neighbor came out and
tackled
said,
them, right.
No. You have to get the story from him.
I did.
No.
He was running with a duffel bag.
No, he was not. They were all running, okay, and the neighbor said, stop, blah, 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 blah. William was the one that stopped. The other two little suckers knew. They ran.
William didn't tell me the same story.
I'll tell you. And when he sat down, like how you have a little garden tie rod, wood. And he sat down, and he was there, the guy called the cops, and he waited for the cops, and he was sitting down. The cops all come in like some big, big thing, and everything, And they said, stand up, and then William stood up, and then boom.
Boom what?
Tackled him.
Tackled him?
Yeah.
When he stood up?
There was like 8 or 9 of them. Yeah. And they tackled him to the ground, roughed him up and handcuffed him and all that shit. And when the whole brouhaha was over and they sat around chit-chatting and they dispersed, then Officer Green took William back to his patrol car, put him in the backseat of the patrol car, and he said, what is the name of that other kid? What's his last name?
He kept interrogating him.
And William said, I don't know. I really don't know. Yes, sir, no, sir, everything. He's like 14 years old, maybe just under 15. Sit there. He said, well, this is what we do with liars. And Officer Peters made William describe exactly what happened. And so William had continuity to his story because he described, he pulled the taser, he showed him where he pulled the taser out.
Handcuffed at this time.
Handcuffed, standing at the car, totally cooperating, totally being compliant. And the guy goes, this is what we do to liars. And William describes, shows where he pulled it off of his belt. I mean, so Officer Peters knew he was telling the truth.
So you here's the piece in court.
Showed him how he pulled the little things off the thing. I was hearing it for the first time in this detail when William was telling me. Pulled them off, and then said, right on his leg, bullets, like how many thousands of bullets, I don't even know, going through my kid.
So you can have that officer testify in court, and then you can have Florison explain why they destroyed those pictures, why they didn't take action. You prove to them that your son was tased. They shouldn't have to have you file a complaint. That should be investigated automatically by them, shouldn't it?
Yeah, that's why I went there.
They let you believe you were investigating. That's why they didn't ask you to file a complaint. They let you think we'll take care of it.
They said we're going to investigate it, and they did. They went to look to see if his taser had been discharged. And that's what it came to. Well, I'm sorry, but we checked his.
But one of their own officers had proof that they had been tased.
He had the pictures.
Right. So you have proof that they were deceiving you.
Pictures and Williams' eyewitness.
All that needs to be subpoenaed. See, all that needs to be subpoenaed. You didn't file a complaint, but it may not be too late. You know what I mean? Now that they've tased you too, you go after all. I want to see the pictures that your officers took of my son when he was tased.
One officer, Sergeant Peters.
Sergeant Peters. Yeah, I want the pictures, and you tell your attorney you want the pictures. You say, I want you to subpoena those pictures that they took of my son. And if they destroyed them, I want that in writing. They destroyed that evidence. I'll show you how to beat them, baby.
No, because they'll just deny it ever happened. They'll be like, you never came.
Officer Peters will have to lie on the stand then.
Then they'll lie on the stand.
Huh?
Then they'll lie on the stand. So what?
Then you get up there and tell your story, and the jury decides which one's telling the truth. Who's more believable? Why would you lie? Really? What incentive do you have to lie? And William, if you and William both get up there on the stand,
trying to get my way, trying to get money.
You let the jury decide that. All it takes is one person in that jury. All it takes, people see the truth, Kelly. If you tell the truth, people recognize the truth. People recognize liars. They know police lie. They know that you've got proof. Both of you guys were tased while you were handcuffed. Are you both making up your stories?
No, I got witnesses.
Are you just a lying family? No, you're not. You're telling the truth. Don't be afraid to tell the truth, and don't be afraid of them lying, because in the end, the truth will win. The truth don't change. Lies change. The police will change their story. Watch and see what happens. Watch how they tell their story with Brenda. See if they tell we told her to get the fuck back. See what they say. Watch them lie. Watch their story change. Good interview. You did real good. I love you. Good job.